So last week we had round 6 where we took on Le Sarthe circuit in France, also known as the Le Mans 24-hour circuit.
Lewis Hamilton won the first race after overtaking Naki Bazlan on the very final lap.
They overtook each other 4 times in the last lap.
It was a very, very positive round for me, getting the clean sweep. The pace was very promising.
That was so far the best battle I've had in E1 this season.
Once again, Mohamed Ibrahim's finished in pole position after qualifying. That's his 6th straight pole position, extending his record in the championship qualifying. So despite having a really poor start to race 1, in fact, not even starting at all, that was a huge blow to Mohamed Ibrahim's championship hopes. But he was able to make a really strong comeback in race 2. Ultimately, he finished in P1, and it was super close between him and his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Really went down to the wire on the last lap.
So tonight, BlackArts have the opportunity to close in on Team Flash because Ibrahim, for tonight, will be getting a 1-round ban.
When Mohamed Ibrahim was stripped of the victory for running his mouth off.
Very careless thing to do on live television. The consequence is the team's points get lowered as well.
So with this ban, it's fallen into Josh Powen's hands. Josh Powen now leads the championship.
Look, I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit surprised to be the championship leader after the lack of pace at Le Mans. I've got 2 flash cars still chasing me, so we'll have to see what happens in the last 2 rounds.
This week, Monza, the classic old Lotus. Alex Young, thank you.
It's got to be fixed setup in the Lotus 49. It's at Monza.
You're going to have the old cars which will fizz around at the back end. No downforce.
It's got no grip. The car moves around a lot.
And what we're going to get at Monza.
We will include the chicanes and include where the circuit kind of loops against itself twice.
It will be a slipstreaming fest as well, but what's going to happen, no one can really tell.
Monza Combined is a great check for racing. The only problem is with the Lotus 49.
It's very raw, you know, it's got a lot of power.
It's going to be quite tough to be side by side.
At a track that's already strong with slipstream and then adding an oval, it'll just be a crazy slipstream race, I think.
Some parts of it are very, very bumpy, some parts of it are very, very smooth.
And there's like huge straight.
You have to brake way before the corner.
So it's going to be very interesting, and hopefully, you know, I don't crash out there in the oval.
It's going to be really tough.
Buongiorno! Hello and welcome to the E1 Championship Season 2, Round 7, where we're going to be racing at Monza Combined. All of the action tonight is brought to you by our sponsors, Evo Club Car Insurance with Pro Mileage. Make sure you check out their website, evoclubinsurance.com, to find out how you can save up to 40% off your next car insurance renewal. Don't forget, you can also catch all of our action on our Facebook page, on the E1 Championship, and on the EGG Network website. My name is Daniel Woodruff. I'm your host for this evening, and with me is Alex Young, the E1 Championship race director, and with us in the commentary box, as always, is Ammo. And that empty seat next to him is going to be filled by Alex later on when the action heats up. Now, why are we donning these hats and looking extremely dapper, you may be asking? And that's for 2 reasons. One, we're going to be racing on the Monza Combined, so it's not just the traditional Monza circuit, we're also incorporating the traditional old part of the original track, but also because we're going to be racing with the Lotus 49. So, true to the era, we're donning our lovely flat caps, and we'll go into more detail about all of these curveballs coming your way tonight later on in the show. Now, with the championship fight well and truly alive, things are going to be a little bit more aggressive between the drivers because every point counts. And I think testament to that was the action that we saw last race and all the controversies that happened. And in particular, it's down to what happened with our championship leader, or former championship leader, I should say, Mohamed Ibrahim, who had a little bit of a incident, I would say, at last round in Le Sarthe in France on the Le Mans circuit. Alex, could you please help refresh our memory as to what these incidents were?
Oh, yeah, it was a really tough night, wasn't it? Okay, so Ibrahim, you know, he won race 2. He had put it on pole, so he had some points. but unfortunately got disconnected in race 1. I couldn't get into the server even, and that's sometimes the issue of online racing. You know, I mean, all these drivers on the grid have been disconnected at a crucial point in a race at some point in their careers. That's why we have drop points in this championship, because you always try and cater for someone getting really unlucky with a disconnection so they can drop points from that round. That's what happened to Ibrahim. He couldn't get into race 1. He could get in for race 2 though, and he managed to win that race. But what happened in the post-race remarks after race 2 was he, in the heat of the moment, he said some very nasty words, said it was fixed. And of course, we have a clause in our regulations saying you cannot bring the sport into disrepute. There are avenues, there are channels to lodge protests, to bring things up. But doing it on live TV is not one of them. So stewards had to throw the book at him, and he was disqualified from the round, and obviously lost a lot of points.
Yep, and not just being excluded from round 6, he's also getting a qualifying ban for tonight, which means he will not be taking part in tonight's qualifying session. So that's just going to make his title fight that little bit more difficult. We're going to take a look at the impact that had on the round 6 points in a minute. But first, let's go and take a look at the highlights from last week.
As we are going to get underway for the Circuit de la Sof. Oh, that's already an accident. And
oh, netcode. Unlucky.
Nakib Aslan has taken the lead.
Nakib Aslan's got a huge lead, 1.8 second there.
Kalen on the inside, Era on the outside, and Kalen manages to make the move stick. Alif now takes out position away from Dominic.
Josh on the inside, squeezes through, and he makes the move.
He goes onto the inside, Alif takes the lead, and Nakib takes the lead back. He goes on the outside, coming through the Porsche cups. He takes the lead on the final lap of the race.
Muhammad Ali is going to win his first race. There's the
Lights out, away we go. Oh, that's another accident further behind. That's another start line accident. Luke Bannister takes the lead here. We look at Ibrahim, who didn't start that first race because of connection issues. Now up to Abe.
He's overtaking. Oh no, he's not. And Kalen Chin there, leading through the second chicane.
2 by 2 in a Noah's Ark formation as they come through now. Bannister takes the lead again.
Ibrahim has joined this battle for the lead. Alif back at the front.
14.5 minutes left to go here. Oh, Bannister actually hit the back of Alif for a second. Drops momentum. Ibrahim has actually taken the lead. Alif making his move for the win, and he makes a move here right now. They're going side by side here, and he takes the lead quite serenely. And it's going to be Ibrahim who takes race 2 with Alif just a 10 behind.
All right, let's take a look at the breakdown of results from round 6. And this is after Mohammed Ibrahim has been excluded from the points. So it was Alif Hamilton who inherited pole position. He then went on to win race 1 and get the fastest lap. And you can see that with the purple points indicated there. And in race 2, while he did finish second, Alif, after the disqualification, inherited first place. And that ultimately meant that he was the overall round 6 winner, with Josh Perwin in second and Nakib Aslan in third place. So after the penalty points had been applied and Mohammed Ibrahim had been excluded from the points, it meant that 30 championship points were lost. And that is a lot, and that's going to ultimately inherit benefits, I should say, Josh Perwin and Alif Hamilton second and third respectively. So the championship fight is going to be even tighter. It's going to be even better. And let's see what effect that has on the overall championship standings. Let's go and take a look. All right, so this is the evolution of the championship standings from round 1 until tonight. And it was an early lead for the Australian duo of Luke Bannister and Josh Perwin, but it didn't take long for Mohammed Ibrahim to stamp his mark up at the front in first place. Ultimately, this was a position he was going to hold for the majority of our championship. Despite a little bit of a poor round 3, he still maintained his lead, and it was Josh Perwin and Josh Thomas in third. And this is when we started to see Alif Hamilton start to creep up back into that top 3 position. We know he's a former champion of the series, and he's going to be eyeing that top spot after especially Mohammed Ibrahim has had his points taken away from him. So round 5, that gap got a little bit smaller, and after round 6, it was Josh Perwin who leapfrogged his way back to the top of the championship. And what has this meant for the team championship? Well, it's Team Flash still at the front. The gap has shortened slightly to BlackArts Racing, who are having their best championship to date. Safehouse in third, Stratos Motorsports in fourth, and BlackWolf Racing in fifth. All right, so we can see there the penalties have had a huge effect on the overall championship standings. I mean, we've got Josh Perwin now becoming the leader of the championship. Alif is now P2 after collecting 57 points in round 6, and Ibrahim has dropped to P3 after losing 30 points last week. So my question for you, Alex, is how is this going to change Ibrahim's approach to the last 2 rounds?
I'm sure he'll still go flat out. I mean, we do see Muhammad Alif now in second in the championship, but when you consider the drop points, it's still very close between Ibrahim and Josh. Here you are, you can see, without the drop points, doesn't look very good for Alif. He's lost a lot of points there, and he's quite far behind Josh and Alif, who's now up to second. However, when you take into drop points, and drivers must drop their worst scores between rounds 1 and 7. This is how it looks. So the colors in red, those are the lowest scores for each driver. So you can see Ibrahim will drop points from round 6. So he drops 0 points, whereas Alif has to drop 19 points from round 1. Josh has to drop 22 points from round 3. And that narrows it up quite a bit. And when you take out those drop points, you actually see Muhammad Alif is actually in second place. And he's only 4 points behind Josh Perwin. And then you got Muhammad Alif there, another 26 points off the lead, 22 points off the lead. So it is still very close between the 3 of them. You'd have to say though that although Alif he's within touching distance, you know, he's still in with a shout for the championship. But he's got 2 very fast drivers, Josh Perwin and Muhammad Ibrahim, just ahead of him in the championship.
So the 2 things to consider here. One is they can still drop points from the results they have in round 7. That was just our preliminary calculation based on the races so far. So if some drivers have an even worse round 7 tonight, they can drop those rounds, those races. And the second thing is it now becomes a 3-horse fight. We were saying a couple rounds ago, it was just down to the 2 drivers, right? It was Muhammad Ibrahim and it was Josh Perwin. But now Alif really is in with a chance of winning the championship, because when we come to our last round in 2 weeks' time at Silverstone, there's going to be double points. And all that means is anything can happen. So, we have drop points coming up. We've got more curveballs coming your way. As mentioned, we're going to Monza. We're racing in the Lotus 49s, and that's why we're wearing our lovely caps. And to explain a little bit more about the intricacies of tonight, it's over to Amanda.
Hello, I'm Amanda Andrea, and welcome to E1 Championship Season 2, Asia Pacific's most premier sim racing championship. Now, last week, we saw drivers complete the second and final mystery circuit of the season. With 6 rounds of racing in the rear view, tonight, just before we head into the grand finale, we will be heading to a true cathedral of speed, the Monza Combined circuit in Italy. Now, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza was the world's 3rd purpose-built racetrack, coming in after Brooklands and Indianapolis. Located within Monza's Royal Park, this is one of motorsport's great locations, bringing back the high-speed oval that was infamously banned, giving this track a difficulty of 5 out of 10. Now, the length of the combined circuit is a total of 10 kilometers in comparison to the modern circuit's 5.79 kilometers. With only an elevation difference of 12.8 meters and 10 turns on this circuit, it was designed to harness maximum speeds out of drivers. Now, the fastest lap record for this circuit was set in 1960 by Phil Hill when he crossed the line at 223 kilometers per hour with the time of 2 minutes and 41.4 seconds. Now, this week, we bid goodbye to the Dalaras as we go back in time when drivers donned leather helmets and goggles. Yes, that's right. Today, drivers will be using the iconic Lotus 49. Traditionally coated in British racing green with golden yellow stripes, this 440 horsepower V8 powerhouse is capable of 345 kilometers per hour. And of course, it is a true icon of F1 racing. Now, it weighs at 501 kilograms with a maximum fuel capacity of 179.58 liters. It will take some bold driving to handle the power and weaker handling of the car. Now, today, it is another fixed setup round for the drivers. This means that there are no adjustments allowed to any parts of their car. No doubt, this will be providing an extra challenge as teams are put on a level playing field once again. Now we will begin with a 10-minute qualifying race to determine starting grid positions. Drivers will then compete for points in a 15-minute sprint race and then the 30-minute reverse grid race. Top 5 in from the qualifying will earn points from 5 down to 1, and top 15 from both race 1 and 2 will earn points from 25 down to 1. Of course, an additional 2 points will also be given to drivers with the fastest lap in race 1 and 2. As we head into the second last round of the season, drivers are required to drop points from their lowest rounds. Now this will potentially tighten the championship points for the drivers quite a bit. With a grand total of $16,000 up for grabs, the battle for the podium is getting intense. The championship winning team will win $4,000 and the trophy, followed by the first, second, third, and fourth runner-up respectively for both driver and team divisions. Good luck to all the drivers.
Thank you very much, Amanda. That's right, tonight we are racing at the Monza Combined circuit. Now, for anybody that's somewhat familiar with Formula One, you may have seen that track map that just appeared on your screen and been like, what's that big oval doing in that track that I usually see? So, Alex, this is a combination of the latest track that everybody sees in Formula One, but also the original circuit, which has an oval on it. Walk us through it.
Okay, so it's a loop within a loop. If you ever watch Formula One a lot, and a lot of viewers here do watch Formula One, you'll notice that on the lead up to the Scari chicane, they go under a tunnel, don't they? They go under a bridge. Well, that bridge is part of the oval. So basically, they go under the bridge, then they take the track, and then they come back to go through parabolic, and then they come back onto the oval. So it's very complicated. It's not quite a figure of 8 because it doesn't reverse against the side, but it's a loop within a loop. So yeah, we can watch some of these guys following Mohammed Ibrahim right now. Let's see, he's going to go through Parabolica right now, which is the last corner on the track. So this will be the last corner on the Grand Prix track and sort of track with the chicane. So it's kind of confusing. Hopefully you guys will follow it and understand what's going on. But it does mean it's going to be a slipstream fest. And that's been part and parcel of E1 Season 2. We've gone to a lot of tracks, which has been great for slipstreaming, and see a lot of cars. And here we are. This is that turn 1. The car's going through the oval right now. You can see the banking. See, this is the great thing about sim racing, because we can go to these kind of tracks. I mean, these tracks are way too dangerous now. There's no way we could race on these tracks, and especially with these cars. It'd be madness. I mean, these sort of cars, they go about 350 kilometers per hour because they're built like bullets with no downforce and no drags. And literally, if you go off, that's it. You know, you're probably looking at a fatal accident. That's how dangerous it is. But we can do that in the sim world, and we can enjoy the majesty of watching these cars going on the banking, flat out. Look at the suspension movements over the bumps. That's how it was in the old days. You know, very softly sprung. And now you can see they've gone through the second corner, which is the banking, and now they're back on the Formula One track. They have to brake for the chicane. So this is the modern element of this track. In the old days when they ran these cars, there was no chicane, but we wanted to put in the chicanes because it's more challenging, so you can get used to it. The cars have no grip. I hear they're braking at like 250 meters, 300 meters before the corner, whereas if you did it in the Formula One car, modern Formula One car, you're braking at 100 meters before the corner, so it's 3 times the braking distance. It's going to be fabulous to watch. It's going to be slipstreaming. It's going to be racecraft. This is one track you can start right at the back and it's still easy to win.
Well, that was actually going to be my last question. So starting from the back will be Mohammed Ibrahim.
Yeah.
I guess it won't really matter too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he would have got pole today anyway, because I'm looking at the timing and it's very, very close. The timing is very close. But he would have wanted to try an attempt at getting those 5 points you get for pole position. But you're right, pole means nothing here. You could always say every track is nice to have pole, even though you can overtake, but here especially, you actually want to be at the back, as long as you can stay out of danger. I don't think you want to lead on the last lap. You know, the closest ever finish ever, I think, was 5 cars within, I think, 2 tenths or something, and that was at this track, within 7 tenths, 8 tenths. Anyway, that's how close the racing is here, and we're going to see that today.
Well, I can't wait. Qualifying still going to be very important to collect those final few points in the championship fight, and all of that action's coming your way right after this break.
When I switched to Pro mileage, I got 47% of savings.
I paid 790 for it. Compared to any other insurer, the cheapest was 1,290. Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper.
My Volvo XC40 1 year premium 6,000 over ringgit. Then I start taking for Malaysia. I said, huh? 3,200 plus ringgit.
Claim went through pretty fast. I got my car back pretty quickly as well.
Called them about 8 o'clock in the morning. Within 1 hour it came.
Buongiorno and welcome back to the E1 Championship Season 2, Round 7 at Monza. We've got qualifying coming up next, and all of that action is brought to you by our sponsors, Evo Club Car Insurance with Pro Mileage. Make sure you check out their website to find out how much you can save on your next car insurance renewal. Well, ahead of qualifying, let's go and take a look at our driver lineup for tonight's action.
Okay, here we go. Our championship leading team and reigning champions from Season 1, Team Flash. Muhammad Alif there in car 44. And championship rival, Muhammad Ibrahim in car number 33.
And next to them, we have the mean green racing machines of Stratos Motorsports fielding the Malaysian duo of Nakib Aslan and Dominic Ang.
And then we have the Singaporean team, BlackWolf Racing, Kalen Chin, who's been a staple at E1's race since Season 0, and he's joined by Ricardo Bocelli, who was new to the E1 in the previous season, and he showed he was quick.
And the fast Filipino duo of GT Radial Eurasia Motorsports. They've had so much support on our Facebook live stream, and I think they're going to love all the action tonight. They are, of course, Inigo Anton and Joaquin Garrido.
Then we have the Singapore Korean team, Safehouse, Miko Nasi in car number 2. He's a multiple race winner in every season. He's one of the few drivers who've won a race in every season in E1 so far. He's joined with Josh Thomas.
And some of the most successful racing teams in the region, BlackArts Racing, fielding the Australian duo of Josh Perwin and Luke Bannister. Josh is now leading our championship.
Then we have the Brunei-based team, Apex E-Racing. And they have a Malaysian duo. Arif Asmi is only 16 years old, and he's with Freddie Ang, one of the top racers, especially at Tin Tops here in Malaysia.
Slipstream Motorsports are going to be fielding the two go-karters of Daniel Martin and Ivan Vantagiato. Will their karting experience benefit the Lotus 49 driving style?
Then we have Team EGG in the bright yellow, lovely team. Aaron Lim, the legend in Malaysian Motorsports, age 36, multiple champion, and he's joined by a youngster, Melvin Tan from the Philippines.
Welcome to Monza, Italy. Now it is a fairly dry and clear afternoon at 22 degrees with 20% air humidity and a wind speed of 10 kilometers per hour. The clear skies on this fine day makes it another perfect day for racing. Now this track demands drivers to be full throttle 70 to 80%. Now the qualifying will be starting very soon, so let's head over to the commentary desk.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Daniel. So, we're about just a few moments away from qualifying, and we cannot wait for this one because it's another different circuit and a different type of car we're racing here today, Alex.
I know, I mean, that's the great thing about sim racing, isn't it? We can try different teams and different cars. And I know a lot of the teams are like, oh gosh, another car to learn. But I think it's going to provide some excellent racing. You know, I'm going to love the fact that the car's going to move around so much. It's going to be fun to watch.
And the fact that we had two of the closest ever finishes in F1 history at this very circuit in 1969, 1971. The closest stop forever, 1969. Jackie Stewart won that one by a few car lengths. And then Howden Gantley won in 1971. And that was a field of 5 cars. So it would be great to see if we could get to see the same thing here for this round. But now we're going to qualifying, Alex. The banking. That's pretty much the most prevalent thing on the circuit, isn't it? We don't normally see it on the F1 cameras. They rarely show it sometimes, but here we see it in all its glory.
Yeah, so the first 2 corners on the track are the banking. Just to turn 1, we're on board with Kalen Chin right now. And let's just go on board and watch him from his point of view. Here he is to turn 2. Oh, God, I'm going to come to this shot a lot today, I feel. Just love watching the suspension travel, the compression through the banking. Then as he comes off the banking, see, it's easy flat in the car, but he has to work. There's this big bump as the cars get some wheel spin as they get airborne. Okay, so Kalen Chin, very fast Singaporean Australian. Here we are. This is the view from the cockpit. Look at that. Look how early he has to brake as he tries to slow the car down. Oh, absolutely no grip there. Monsters the curbs as he should, because there's so much suspension travel on these cars. He can monster the curbs. Gets good exit out of turn 2 though, doesn't he?
Yeah, in fact, these cars are not used to having very slow corners because back in the 60s, the circuits were more like very fast-flowing circuits. You don't have nonsense like chicanes like nowadays, isn't it? They can just be able to just stretch their legs out and just tap the throttle. And here, used to be just a kink, now it's another chicane. So really, it's a mixture of both, isn't it? It's a mix of both worlds. And you have the fast-flowing ovals and then the tight sections.
And he's really working the car, isn't he? You see the rears locking up as he brakes for the second chicane. And he's really having to just kind of babysit the cars in, then use the curbs and try and get it straight on the exit so he can get the power down. I mean, 400 horsepower in these cars is a big deal because there's no grip in them. It's really easy to light up the rear wheels. And notice the tires, Ammo.
Yeah.
They're not slicks. In these days, everyone thought groove tires were the fastest way through the track.
And it's cross-ply tires actually, so those kind of things where it encourages sliding, doesn't it? So we don't see cool, calm control for these drivers. They're gonna have to slide their way around to encourage more speed out of the corners. And I got that wrong for a second. 1971 was Peter Gethin, and he won by just a hair's width from 5 cars. So that's just a little history lesson for F1. As what happened to Kalen there?
Oh, he's run wide. He's just braked too late. Last corner on the track, and he overcooks it. It's such a long lap. You can't really afford to do that. I wonder if he'll get a track limits issue. But he's going to go across the line. I think he's one of the first to go across the line to finish his lap.
No, start actually. He's going to start his lap now, actually, because
of course, the out lap.
It's out lap, yeah. And the car looks a bit like a BRM, to be honest, because with the red front nose, with the black colors, it's a bit of a match, actually. The more we see the other guys, the more we see that, yeah, they're going for the classic colors. So in this case, we can safely say it's a bit BRM, isn't it, Alex?
It is, does indeed. But you're right. Sorry, I forgot about the out lap. I thought we'd started the lap already. It's such a long lap. So these guys are only going to get maybe 2 time laps because it isn't enough time. Riding on board with Kalen right now. He's about to come to turn 2. Let's see who else is out there. Inigo Anton is also the same part of the track. He's going to turn 2 as well. So both these drivers are the same part of the track. Some of the others. Joaquin Garrido, his teammate in GT Radio. So how much movement there is. You know, we're going to get guys slipstreaming through these corners, and they're going to be 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide. And it's going to be very close for contact. So they're going to have to be super careful through here. Let's go back to Kalen Chin, who's just gone through. There we go. He's going through the second chicane on the Formula One track. The modern Formula One track.
Yep.
And now through Lesmo 1. Ooh, running's a bit wide there, but I think that's okay. And now through Lesmo 2. Look how focused he is. It looks good so far. Looks clean. We missed the first corner, but it gets a bit wide there. Bit of wheel spin. Wow, it's so easy to light up the rear tires on these cars.
And this was before the aerodynamics came to play by 1969, because that was commonplace. Colin Chapman also introduced that with the Lotus 72, sorry, the Lotus 70. Oh, he goes off, so that might be a cancellation on this lap, and looks like he has to regroup himself. But yeah, even with less power compared to F1 cars nowadays, it's still quite a handful to drive, and case in point there, Kalen just going off at Ascari.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with that. Okay, let's go back to Inigo Anton. Let's see how he's doing. He's going to come to the last corner on the track. Let's see if he keeps it nice and clean.
And in the Honda S colors, in fact, with the red stripe on the top, it looks a bit like Honda. And that's good omens, because in 1967, John Surtees won in the Honda here in the most dramatic of circumstances at that time. So we'll get into that a bit later as we get into the times now. Is Bannister on pole with Ali second, Nakib third, Anton now second. He's due a win, to be honest.
Wow, okay, so Luke Bannister came in from nowhere to go quickest of all on BlackArts Racing. And I wonder if he's just going to carry on with this lap. It looks like he's just going to carry on with this lap. It kind of makes sense with the lap being so long. Amo, does it make sense to come into the pit and try again?
I don't think so. Because normally you just want to try to get one lap in as a banker, and after that continue if you feel like you have the momentum. In this case, some of the other drivers, like Kalen, he might have actually wanted to go on anyway. So yeah, I think they just want to keep on going. For those drivers that can afford to just do one banker lap and then come in, they can do so. But pressure will be on in that final run.
Yeah, so the Australian on pole. Here he comes down the start-finish straight again. Watch for the bump. Yep, the bump, the wheel spin. My God, he got close to the barrier there. But yeah, so the cars, yeah, it makes sense because you won't get the tire drop-offs as well. These old tires, they could keep going and going, so it makes no sense to come into the pit and put new tires as you would do in, say, like a modern Formula One car. Whoa, he's run too wide there. That's going to cost him time. Won't be happy with that, but it's a long lap. Maybe he can recover it.
And in terms of tires, you can tell stories like Jim Clark, for example. There were tales of him actually being able to use the tires for 2 races in a row, the same set, because he didn't really wear them out. So that's the kind of thing that is prevalent here. If you actually conserve your tires, you can actually save it all the way to the end. So we don't have a need for a pit stop, don't you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, they're really old. Though, having said that, Luke slowed right down for some reason. Let's see. So right now, Luke Bannister is on pole. He has time for, I think, one more lap, although this one seems like he's backed off. And then Inigo Anton there in P2 at the moment. So Inigo Anton has qualified P2 before already this year. I think it was in, where was it? It was in America, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Charlotte. He qualified second in Charlotte.
Let's see if he's going to improve. His Sector 1 is better.
Oh, and he's going to abandon that one because he's gone straight off. So he's going to have to regroup again. And he has no time to do an outlap and another run. This will be his final run here today.
Ooh, Nakib Aslan's found some time from somewhere. A 35.84. So from Stratos Motorsports has done a lap. He's stopping though. He's not going to carry on.
Oh.
Does he have enough time to restart? I don't think he has enough time.
No, he doesn't have enough time.
That's it. That's his charge done. 3 tons off a pole at the moment. Inigo Anton though, he's pushing. He's going to see if he can go a little bit quicker. Let's try and snatch pole position. Mikko Nassi is also on a decent lap. Is he? Yeah, it looks like he's starting another lap.
And if he starts it, he can actually do yet another one. So he is in good position here to do another run. So he comes across the line now. Would that be a change in his lap time? No. Looks like he stays third, 3 tenths behind Luke Bannister. And that's quite a change, isn't it? Because we'd be expecting Ibrahim to be on pole right now because he normally bangs in the laps. But for the first time in 6 races, it's anybody's game right now. And it looks as though Bannister is taking this opportunity with both hands.
Okay, so Joshua Thomas in P6 and Muhammad Alif in P7, they're on good laps at the moment, so they could go quicker. Looks like Luke Bannister's done for the day. He's sat in the pits. He's going to hope he gets pole.
Purple.
Indigo Anton's gone purple in Sector 1, so he's still pushing. This is his 3rd lap on his tires, still got some grip. We should follow him right now and see if he can keep improving. Sector 2.
We're on the Grand Prix loop right now, so this is mostly familiar for the guys who have raced him multiple times. So Inigo should be back in the element here, apart from that crazy oval. He did improve in his 2nd sector, but 3rd sector personal best, so he's on a good run right now.
Okay, let's see if the young Filipino can keep this lap together, see if he can get his first pole of the season.
Through the first Lesmo and coming up to the second. Now this will be part of the actual circuit where we used the combined circuit back then, because up until 1961, that was the last time that we used the full layout of Monza before they had to cancel it because of that fatal accident from Wolfgang von Trips, and he abandoned that lap. So I think that's the end of qualifying.
Wow, that is end of qualifying then. So Inigo Anton P2, and it was Luke Thompson.
Luke Bannister.
Luke Bannister with his first pole of the season.
Luke Bannister, pole position. Congratulations. Walk us through that very skatey and slidey lap.
Wow. Nice pole. You said there's not much grip though, eh? So it looks really tricky to drive.
We seem to have a bit of audio problems, but we'll get that sorted soon.
Okay.
So, one quick question for you, Luke. Do you think pole position is a disadvantage tonight? All right, well, congratulations. Anyway, we hope to see you keep up at the front in race 1.
Yeah.
All right, up next, Amir, I believe you're going to walk us through the unofficial qualifying results.
Yep, and for the first time ever in 6 rounds, in round 7, we have a different pole sitter. So all change here at the top of the field. It is Luke Bannister on pole, Inigo Anton in second, matching his best qualifying of the season, St. Charlotte. Mikko Näsi third, also one of his best performances in quite a while. In fact, he's had 2 second places in a row. Now he's going to be in third. Naki 4th, Kalen 5th, Joshua Thomas 6th, 7 is Alif, who's going to be disappointed to not get points on his teammate. 8th, Josh Bowen. 9th, Riccardo Bichelli on his home circuit with his de facto home team, because BlackWolf have a partnership with an Italian team. And 10, Melwin Tan. What a surprise there as well.
Wow, what a great lap for Melwin to get into his first top 10 of the season.
All right, that was a very skatey and slippery qualifying session, done and dusted. We've got a race 1 coming your way and a reverse kit race 2 later on in the show coming very soon. Don't go anywhere.
When I switched to Pro mileage, I got 46-47% of savings.
I paid $790 for it. Compared to any other insurer, the cheapest was $1,290. Pro mileage was the only one that gave me $5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper.
My Volvo XC40 1 year premium 6,000 over ringgit. Then I start taking for mileage. I said, huh? 3,200 plus ringgit.
Claim went through pretty fast. I got my car back pretty quickly as well.
Called them about 8 o'clock in the morning. I think within 1 hour it came.
the Lotus Classic Racing Green. Oh, it is heaven!
So the Lotus 49 is iconic.
Which is a very interesting classic car, Formula One car from the 60s.
Even if you're not a Formula One fan and you don't know much about cars, you may notice it if you look at a photo of it. And the number one thing as well that stands out, it's British Racing Green with that iconic yellow stripe as well.
I think it's absolutely awesome that we have Lotus 49.
They are very, very cool. I mean, look at the liveries of them.
Because they're so historical, it's so nice to be driving them. They usually just fade away out of existence because nobody drives them anymore. But bringing it back for this season, I think it'll spark a new interest for a lot of people to try it.
It's old school driving. There's an old steering wheel there and there's back end.
The car's a lot softer, the car's going to move around a lot more. There's no downforce in that car, there'll be a lot of slipstreaming.
Huge amounts of power, not a lot of grip. We've got horrible tires in comparison to the really big sticky stuff that we use now.
That will be a real test, particularly for those younger kids.
I think that a lot of the grid, including myself, doesn't actually own the car yet.
I've never ever touched it.
I've not driven the 49 yet. I've just tried it recently. I'd say it's the hardest car I've ever driven.
I remember driving Grand Prix Legends a whole lot, 20 years ago now I think, or maybe a little bit more even. Just insanely difficult to handle.
So our drivers will be racing the Lotus 49 in Monza, and everybody's going to have a fixed setup.
It's a combined Monza track, which is the typical Formula One track in Monza with the banking.
Monza is one of the fastest tracks in the world, which means that we're going to see cars very fast in a straight line.
That's going to be very interesting to see how the drivers compare with that, especially because it's going to be the Lotus 49, which is a historic car.
Some drivers are going to be very, very good at Formula cars with the wings and high downforce. Some drivers are going to be very good at GT cars. Historical Formula One cars is going to be a whole new ballgame.
It's another complete different beast compared to the IR18 and the IR01.
Definitely going to be very different to the cars I've driven before.
I think it's going to be a huge challenge to be quick in it.
I don't really know how it'll feel like.
I still can't get a clean lap with it.
It will take a long time, I think, for everyone to get a grasp, get a hold of it.
I think we are going to see some wheel rubbing, some action, dare I say some crashes as well. And I'm excited to see how that's going to affect the championship points at the end of the day.
That's going to be an exciting race. Racecraft again will be very important. Not as important as, say, the oval race, but kind of halfway between the oval race and the road track.
I'm waiting to see how everybody else will react to this Lotus 49 because it's going to be really hard and interesting.
It's going to be a real challenge, and it's going to be another different beast and different way of driving.
Especially Monza Combined, it's going to be very, very interesting, and I'm really excited for it.
It's going to be very interesting because I think that's going to be the first time that a lot of the drivers are going to be using that car in a race scenario.
So I think having this car in the championship is really going to spice things up, and we're going to see some fantastic racing on some fantastic circuits.
I just wish it was real life. Virtual, though, is as good as we can get, but that Lotus.
Hello and welcome back to the E1 Championship. We've just wrapped up qualifying on the Monza Combined circuit in the Lotus 49. It's one of Dez's favorite race cars, and he is watching our Facebook live stream with much anticipation to see what's going to happen in the races, because ultimately the Lotus 49 has no grip, it's got no weight, it's got crazy amounts of power, and as we saw in qualifying, it's going to be so hard to keep it on track.
Yeah, that was the thing that I took away from qualifying. You know, Inigo Anton said he can't even put a clean lap together. And you could see that in qualifying, the mistakes they were making, the frustration on the face, the concentration, you know, furrowed brow and stuff, just trying to keep the car on a straight line. For the whole race, they're going to do that? That's going to be tough.
Yep, slipstreaming is going to make the racing extremely easy, because it's going to be super easy to pass people up and down the long straights, around the banked corners. But the tires are the thing that's going to make it really, really difficult. We were saying at the start, these are really hard cross-ply tires that just, I mean, they could use them for multiple races. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of tire strategy these drivers are going to be going with. And I think the best person to talk to about strategy will be Inigo Anton, who had a mega qualifying. Inigo, P2 in qualifying, big smile on your face. Walk us through that extremely difficult lap.
Well, firstly, I just want to say it's good to be back. After missing the last leg with, had electricity issues here and couldn't join. Just good to be back in the car. Well, of course, a new car for this leg. The track, it's such a difficult car to drive. And it's completely different to the IR01 that we've been racing for so long. Even the Indy car is somewhat similar to IR01, but this one is just completely different. So with this one, it's just all about being smooth and not over pushing the car. With the cars that we used to run, you could push as much as you want, but this one you gotta really baby it, gotta take care of it, and be nice and easy through the corners. Because if you just wheel spin a bit and overcorrect, you just lose like half a second right away. So thankfully, my first lap was able to be a good lap already, and just took it nice and easy, didn't really over push, and yeah, that was my time.
And we know it's going to be a fixed setup, so no changes to the suspension, camber, caster, or anything like that. But with these tires, are you going to be doing any pit stops?
Oh, sorry, I didn't pick that up.
Are you going to be doing any pit stops with these tires?
Well, it's going to be really hard to see because I've kind of been doing some laps, and sometimes my consistency is there, but the car just gets harder and harder to drive. It's like you're kind of taking a gamble with it because you might just make more mistakes if you're not gonna change tires. But yeah, let's see what other people do. It's gonna be interesting. Even though it's fixed setup, there's still gonna be so many strategies that are gonna happen.
All right, well, congratulations once again. Just quickly before you go, you have so much support on our Facebook live stream from Brandon, Karen, Justine, Vilma, JLo, and Angelica, just to name a few. Just want to give them a wave, give them a shout out.
Yeah, thank you guys for supporting me again. Most of them are my family and my cousins, so I appreciate it. They're always tune in every time and just gives me that little boost in confidence to do my best.
Yeah. All right, well, best of luck in race 1 and congratulations again.
That's a very good point. My mom's watching this. Is your mom watching this?
No, just Des. All right, so that's our interview wrapped up. Let's go to the official qualifying results. Okay, so here is our official top 5. It is Luke Bannister, the Australian, back on pole position for BlackArts Racing, bagging those very important 5 points, followed by Inigo, Anton, Mikko Nasi once again making an appearance in the top 3, followed by prior champion Nakib Aslan and our youngest driver on the grid, Kalen Chin. All right, we have qualifying wrapped up. We have race 1 coming your way very soon. And to introduce us to race 1, it's over to Amanda.
Congratulations to the top 5 drivers and qualifiers securing a good grid position. Next up, we have the 15-minute sprint race. Now, the Monza Combined circuit will test the endurance of drivers as it is one of the longest tracks of the season. With no power steering, drivers will have to fight to keep their car under control. The overtaking opportunities on the straights and aggressive deceleration on turn 1 and 2 could see braking points being pushed to the limit and see multiple lead changes throughout the race. Now, looks like it's just about time for us to get ready for the sprint race. Back to you, Desert Ammo.
Well, more like Ammo and Alex for here this weekend. And yeah, thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Daniel, in the studio. So we're about to get underway for race 1 here. And we have a good sense of anticipation right now because it is all to play for here. The championship, well, the former championship leader is right at the back. The current championship leader is just somewhere in between that midfield. That's going to be a bit manic, isn't it, Alex?
That's very true. Josh Perwin in P8. You know, with his championship driver at the back, he needed to qualify well, and he didn't. P8 was not where he needed to be. And we just found out in the comments that he has force feedback failure. So I don't know if he can fix it. I don't know if there's enough time between qualifying and the race to fix it. But force feedback is what you have through the wheel. And you could tell how much it's oversteering and understeering through that feedback. And when you lose it, you're going to lose a chunk of time.
Indeed, and well, let's hope he gets that fixed because he's got a lot of turning to do here at Monza. There's the great Bannister, Anton, Nasi, Aslan, Chin, Thomas, Alif, Perwin, Bichelli, and Melvin Tan, your top 10. And we're about to get underway soon. So once we see the lights on the gantry, we're going to get underway for race 1 here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza on the combined layout, which has not been used for F1 since 1961. So, waiting then as the field now grid up. We're getting through the camera shot. Alex, last minute predictions. Who's going to take it?
Wow, it's going to be all about racecraft. I think one of the more experienced hands like Alif or Nakib actually might come through for this race. You know, the racecraft is really top with those drivers. But really, to be honest, anyone can win the race today.
So we're still waiting for the start to come on right now. Minute has clocked on to the top clock. There we go. Lights on the gantry. We're about to get underway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on the gantry, and when they go out, we're underway here at Monza, and that's a good start there from Inigo Anton. That's the kind of jump that he wanted. Very good start on the right-hand side of the grid. Looks like he got enough grip, and he's made the jump on Bannister. Third is Nasty with viewing there just now, and Nakib tuck into the slipstream. This is where the slipstream politics is going to come to play. Oh, big accident for the back. That is the kind of accident that you do not want to see in real life, and we have seen it also in sim racing. Looks like Daniel Martin got the beneficiary of that. He's gained a few positions, but Dominic Ang has fallen behind. Arif Azmi as well. Ibrahim has managed to get through that safely as we watch the rest of the field now come onto the back straight.
So this is where they have to be careful. They're going to get such a slipstream. They must be careful not to run too close to the car in front. And look at that. Wow, that's like a bunch of bees all racing that. So they have to be careful and be patient, because if they try and go for a gap that's not there, they're going to have big contact. You could easily have 3 or 4 cars off at once.
And here they come now to the proper Grand Prix layout. This is where it's normally turn 1, but up here is actually turn 5. Sorry, turn 3 officially on the map. So coming up now, who's going to be bravest on the brakes? Nakib on the outside is going to take the lead away from Bannister, but they're going to go side by side here. This is where we see normally where the Grand Prix cars come to blows on the modern layout, but it's turn 3 right now. And luckily then, everyone made it safely, not like Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Right, so look at that, 7 cars all together. From Nakib Aslan all the way to Josh Perwin in P7. Muhammad Alif is just a little bit further back there in P8. And Muhammad Ibrahim, he is really far back. There you know, he's with the pack actually. There he is in P11. But he's with the pack, so he's with the slipstream, and that's really important for Team Flash.
A couple of drivers have actually gotten through that chicane with a bit of a penalty. We saw just now Mel Winton having to slow up, including Inigo Anton as well. Anton has dropped to 6th place behind Kaylin Chen. But right now, at least, this is the slow sections. They can actually have a bit of a breather. But by the time they come back to the back straight and onto the oval again, it's going to be slipstream all the way once again.
Okay, let's go to the restart. Start the races, watch the replay from that first corner accident.
They're waiting for the play. There it is. It comes right now. This is on board Varun Lim. He was in the thick of that. I think we saw one of the yellow cars on his roof, and he was one of it. So he tried to go on the outside of Dominic Ang. Oh, both real-life drivers have been over that one. Dominic went through like a spinning top, and Dominic and Aaron there ended up somewhere in the trees. So both drivers who were involved in that accident in the pits, including Joaquin Garrido. So those 3 drivers are out of it for race 1. But teammate to Dominic Ang, Nakib Aslan, has a 1.4 second lead at the front of the field.
Wow, so Nakib just must have had a really good run through those last 3 corners. That's a big lead to be having, 1.4 seconds. I'm quite surprised at that. Spread out the pack a bit there. Still 11 cars close together, but it is more spread out than I expected. Good, must have had a good run through Parabolica. Now that's it. They're on to lap 2. Through the banking again, and look at that, Nakib also looking very good there. Josh Perwin there in P2, and there's a big gap between him and of course Josh Perwin there in P3 with his teammate Mikko Nasi in P4.
Yeah, that was the kind of thing that Nakib needed. Sorry, Luke needed for Josh. Oh, sorry, looking at the wrong drivers there. But Josh, he's up to 6. He's in front of his championship rival Ibrahim, right behind him.
That's right. So the 2 Safehouse cars there in P3 and P4 working together. Riccardo Bocelli, he's had a good first lap. He's up to P5 from P11, so good.
So at least he didn't have to slow up too much to let the rest of the field go by. But on board with Josh right now, he's got an opportunity to be on the podium here. Third place is not that far away from him.
That is true. And then let's see further back there, Muhammad Alif there. There he is with his teammate behind him. And that's Ibrahim just behind. So Team Flash cars together. And I'm sure they're going to work together to try and close the gap to the top 5.
Yeah, and this is not the kind of position they want to be in, isn't it? Because right now, a couple of, 1 second in between Alif and Inigo. Inigo has managed to cut out to the back of that.
Okay, so we saw the pack get separated at the end of the lap 1. I think that was due to an accident between Inigo Anton, Kaylin Chin. Let's have a look at that replay.
Well, we're waiting for the replay right now. There we go, it's coming. This is Kaylin's onboard view. He's on the inside coming up to Ascari. Oh, that's actually Josh going straight on. Josh went straight on into the gravel trap. Inigo follows suit. And no wonder we actually have a break up in the field. And that's Kaylin spitting for collateral damage. But no wonder Nakib actually had a big lead at the end of that first lap. That incident happened. And who do you think was at fault there, Alex?
I don't know. It looked like a racing incident. We'll have to look at it again. But there's Kaylin Chin in P10, quite far down from everyone. So not a good. Look at that huge gap. He's completely lost the slipstream of everyone else. It's going to be almost impossible for him to catch up to the leading pair.
Yeah, but talking about slipstreams, remember the likes of Jim Clark back in 1967 had a puncture at lap 12 in the race. went all the way to the back, almost bog glass, managed to catch the slipstream again. He nearly won the race at the end, only for the Lotus 49, the very same car we're looking at right now, to run out of fuel towards the end. So it is possible actually to catch the toe, but if only that the drivers in front are battling, just like we're watching right now with Luke Bannister, who's willing to get back to his pole position right now, and he's in the slipstream Naki Aslan.
Yeah, I think as he overtakes quite straightforward slipstream move. I'm going to disagree. I don't think Caleb Chin's got much of a chance because these cars are too far in front, and the slipstream is just too close, and the race is just too short. These two have completely broken the slipstream to the rest of the pack, and it really looks like it could be these two challenging for the race win here in race 1.
Indeed, and unless the two of them tripped over each other, especially coming up now to the first chicane, this is going to be the point of contention for the drivers if they get it wrong, as Bocelli comes onto the top of the timing chart. But I think that is actually a mistake because he is somewhere on the track right now, further behind. Anyway, whoa, Nakib slides into the first turn, onto the sausage curves, and yet somehow he manages to hold on to the lead, but Bannister's got a better run out of there. Coming out to the Curva Grande, this is going to be a Curva Grande move coming up to the Roger.
And that turn 3, the old F1 turn 3, that's not easy flat in these cars, and that mistake is allowing Mikko Nassi to close the gap to the front two. So this battle is going to become a three-way battle for the lead. Oh, Mikko almost tags Nakib through this corner.
And this is good for Bannister's chances because he gets to actually pull away a bit. Meanwhile, further behind in 4th place, Inigo Anton, who was in 2nd at the grid, got involved in that little shenanigan coming out to Ascari, has made his way up to 4th from 8th place. So good recovery so far. He managed to catch back to the back of the toe then, and it looks as though he's gotten very used to the car quite quickly. He looks good here for a top 4 finish, unless the guys in front actually trip over each other.
That's right, he's got the 2 team flash cars, Ibrahim and Alif right behind him. Josh Thomas in the 2nd Safehouse there in 8th place as well. But they got a lot of ground to catch here, because you look at that, Anton's
sadly lost 20 years ago to the day. As coming out to the final corner now, Anton, he's being chased by Ibrahim. Ibrahim is close there. In fact, these 4 in shot right now in this particular group are not that far away from the top 3 as they now start yet another lap. Lap 4 right now of this race.
As Ibrahim comes down, looks down the inside. Let's go to another replay.
So we get the replay here.
Here we are with Bocelli following a pack of cars. Oof, he just, both of them ran wide, and then contact between the two of them. Wow! That's a flying car, and he's on the wrong straight now. Oh, that's good. That's Bocelli's race done and dusted. That's unfortunate. And it's Josh Perwin as well that was involved in that accident.
Oh.
Championship leader Josh Perwin is out of the race.
Wow, that's a turn up for the books. And remember, the drop point, he has already gotten his drop points, and that's why he's in the championship lead right now. This is disastrous for him, so we're going to talk about it a bit later. But right now, coming up to the front of the grid, this is between Nakib, Luke Bannister, and Mikko Nassi. So Luke Bannister then with the opportunity to uphold the BlackArts on and try to gain points here, but it is not what the BlackArts team wanted. They want their driver who's in the championship contention to be up there. So right now, at least in the team's championship, this is their best hope at the moment.
Wow, championship leader out of the race. That's for the 2nd race 1 in a row. So Josh Perwin, well, he's going to lose his championship now because he's going to get 0 points for race 1.
Oh no, that's a really big blow here. And look, he brings up the 4th right now as Nakib mounts the curve a bit. Luke Bannister also followed closely, and in turn, both of them actually fall into the clutches of Mikko Nassi. So right now, it is a game of chess here. Who's going to be the one who's leading the pack coming into the final lap? They're going to have to break the toe right in front here to prevent the other driver behind from catching up.
Yeah, and then we go through lesson 1 and 2. Top 3 there. Let's have a look a bit further back to the battle for 4th position. 4-car battle for 4th position. Ibrahim there, he's getting a bit of daylight there, isn't he? He's breaking the toe. No, sorry, I take that back. Alif is right there. He's not going anywhere, is he?
And we also know the fact that Inigo was in 4th place at one point. Now he got mugged for 4th place by the 2 flash cars. So it's a battle of its own here. We have 2 distinct groups of cars racing right now. The first group is the 1st from 3rd. That's going to be challenging for the win. But the one behind the top 3 is also just as interesting. 4 cars between Ibrahim, Alif, Anton, and Josh Thomas. So any which way we look at it here, we got battles all around.
Well, it is good battle there. Alif needs to stay close to the leader, to Ibrahim right now, his teammate. Let's look at the battle for the lead, though. There we go. Nakib Aslan in front, but look at that. Josh Bannister has definitely got a good run there.
Yeah, Bannister's got a good run. He's going to try to overtake again because he already did that before coming up onto what should have been the back straight on the oval. But we come into turn 1 and into turn 2. Let's see then. Look at the speedo. 300 plus kilometers per hour from a car in the 60s, and with only 5 gears. Is that insane, Alex?
That is insane. These are missiles. They're bullets. And they keep their slots back in the second position, going through turn 2, the banking here. Oh, look how much the cars move. It's not easy to stay flat through the banking.
It's not easy, but at the same time, up to the front as well.
And Nakib has to take advantage of that. Good exit, didn't he? Hope that the 2 cars behind fight. Let's go back to see that battle for 4th position, because that's looking close. Indigo Anton back up to 4th in front of both Flash cars, and Leaf there in 5th. Thomas in 6th, and Ibrahim's dropped all the way down to P7, so he must have made a mistake.
Yeah, indeed. That might have been a mistake from Ibrahim that actually cost him 3 positions if you look at it, because he dropped behind to this Kia drivers. So whatever happened, unfortunately we might not have a replay of that, but we look at the present right now as Alif goes onto the inside, takes 4th place at the second Lesmo from Anton, but Anton fights back. It's going to be on the straight right now. Frusaraglio coming out to Ascari. Look at that. These 2 cars, they are inseparable. 4 in fact, if you include the rest of the 4-car battle here.
Okay, Alif has the inside for Ascari, but is Inigo going to try and go on the outside? Inigo just needs to slot in here. He doesn't want to run side by side with the Leaf all the time, because they're just going to compromise each other. And it's going to allow the other 2 to catch up, and that's what's happened right now. The side-by-side action has allowed Ibrahim to catch up, and he's bringing Thomas with him again. So, wow, all back to 0 again.
Back to square one, in fact, for this particular battle, and with that, detrimentally has cost him a lot of time. But look at further behind, Kalen Chin, only about 4 seconds behind this lot, so he might be on still for a top 5 finish here if the pack continues to score. But we have about a lap to go here, so final lap then between these drivers. It is all to play for at the front, also for the positions 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th.
Okay, we have to stick with the leaders right now because we are on the last lap. I'm going to say Nakib Aslan's in the perfect position because we can slipstream Thomas here, Bannister here, sorry. Maybe he can hold it off for the rest of the lap.
Let's see if that will be put to the test here, if Alex's position skills is coming through. Coming up now to the second corner. This will be the last corner on the actual Grand Prix circuit, but it actually is the second corner on this course, so we are going through the paddock again as the battle for 4th position. That's actually quite close. Car number 44 holding on to 4th position. Car number 8 in 5th, trying to get that back. They're coming out to the exited banking onto the final straight of the Grand Prix circuit. The start of the straight. Look at that. A bit of a jump. Oh, Inigo nearly collects the barrier on the inside there. Luckily, he held that quite nicely. It looks like he had the living daylight scared out of him, but he is still in the contention to fight for pole position. Coming out to the Retifilio now. He's got the inside, he's got the line, and he is ahead. Only just this time.
Wow, we had to go to this battle because it was so exciting. But meanwhile, Nakib Aslan did find his way through. He slipstreamed Luke Bannister through the through the second corner, and now can he hold on to the end?
That could be a mistake. That could allow the opportunity for Bannister to come back at him. Nasi, though, watching brief. He's been watching brief this whole time. He just wants the both of them to make a mistake. Bannister's made that mistake. In fact, he has actually jumped the curve and lost a bit of time there. So he has to rely on the slipstream on the back straight of the Grand Prix circuit, Frusaraglio, to get any opportunity to actually pass coming up to Excari right now.
Wow, so there we go. Nakib Aslan holding onto the lead with his fingernails at the moment. But Bannister's close enough. He is close enough to have a go with Ascari, I feel.
Oh, you know what? That's going to be quite close then if he were to try. Bannister goes up as well. So that's the win then for Nakib Aslan. What a way to score his second win of the season. Both drivers who are much more experienced in iRacing have actually cocked it up, and now Nakib is on his way to taking his second victory of the season. What a way to do so, and he's got the ability to move done at the right time. A battle for third though. Who's gonna get it? It is Anton. Anton manages to pip Alif, Ibrahim and Thomas on the line. Nasi from a potential third place has dropped to 7. What an incredible finish here at Monza.
Wow, how exciting was that? Great win for Nakib Aslan, held his nerve just to that last corner. And you're right, it was Bannister and Mikko Nasi that made the mistake to run wide. We have to talk to Nakib Aslan. Nakib, what a great race that was. Please talk us through that.
I'm shaking. Yes. Oh my god.
How close is that?
That was, that was really a tactical battle. It brought memories of, you know, the DRS battles back from season 1 and season 0. Just trying to time it perfectly. Obviously, yeah, the start was good. You know, got the lead, and then I was hoping to play strategically with Luke, and we did that. And then the last lap, I just had to time it correctly. I was talking with James on the radio to go main straight or final straight after Ascari. I made the decision to go main straight, and thankfully it went well. I can't believe it.
That was such a great battle. Oh gosh! So what are you going to do for race 2 now? I mean, can you get to the front from the back again? It looks like you can.
It seems like it's possible. I saw Ibrahim go from last to he was up there until 4th. So yeah, definitely possible. But yeah, we're just trying to take it all in and come back down for race 2.
I think that the key things obviously is that first corner, that first lap. We've seen that in E1 all season. That first corner is treacherous. And I guess starting from the back there, you got to try and thread your way through the mayhem that always seems to ensue.
Yeah, I think we saw, like you said, we saw the pattern from E1 since round 1 in this season. You make it through lap 1, turn 1, you'll have a good chance of finishing up top. So that will be the main goal, and then we'll see where we go from there.
All right, well, keep it on the black stuff. Congratulations again, Nakib. That was a stellar drive.
Thank you.
All right, it's over to you, Ammo, to walk us through the unofficial results from race 1.
Oh, we need to gain our breath there back. Daniel, still out of breath in a while, but here we go. Unofficial results for race 1, barring any penalties that's going to come the way for certain drivers. Nakib Aslan with his second win of the season, and what a way to do so after being robbed last time out in the last lap from Arleif and Le Mans. He gets one back here. So Nakib from Bannister, who might be a bit hard done by that, but at least it's still a podium and great points on for the championship. Anton with a brilliant 3rd despite losing 1 position from qualifying. Ali 4th, Ibrahim for a good recovery to 5th, Joshua B. Thomas 6th, 7th Miko Nasi will be a bit disappointed by that final corner lockup that cost him a potential win. 8th Kalen, 9th Melvin Tan, and 10th Daniel Martin. So 9th and 10th with their best results of the season to date.
That's right, thank you, Amo. That was a crazy race 1. There is so much to unpack there because there are so many different implications on the overall championship, particularly with where Mohammed Ibrahim finished and where Josh Perwin finished. But all of that and more to come right after this break.
When I switched to pro mileage, I got 47% of savings.
I paid 790 for it. Compared to any other insurer, the cheapest was 1,290. Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper.
My Volvo XC40 1 year premium 6,000 over ringgit. Then I start taking for mileage. I said, 3,200 plus ringgit.
Claim went through pretty fast. I got my car back pretty quickly as well.
Called them about 8 o'clock in the morning. I think within 1 hour it came.
Buongiorno, hello, and welcome to the E1 Championship Season 2. We've just wrapped up Race 1 of Round 7 in the Lotus 49 race car, a classic race car from the 60s, which is why we're donning these lovely caps. And all I can say is, I'm glad that I didn't put any money down on this race, because I think this would have been the worst race to do so, just because it's so unpredictable. I mean, Nakib Azan back in P1 I mean, you couldn't call who of the top 3 would have won that race.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did actually. I did.
I know you did. Okay, yeah. maybe you should have put money down.
Because these sort of races, you need the experienced drivers who know whose racecraft is really good. And we knew Nakib would be up there. He got a bit lucky though, because there were some other drivers who would have also been up there, like Josh, like Alif, like Ibrahim, who kind of lost the slipstream to the top 3, didn't they? So he had that small of a gap. So, I mean, I say even. I mean, he still had to beat Mikko Nasi and Luke Bannister. So it was a really, really close race. But at least the herd was thinned out a little bit for those last few laps.
That's right. It was like watching Cup pre-racing in motorcycles, seeing all those little packs of drivers. And Alex, it's interesting that you mentioned racecraft being an important element, because ultimately we always pin Mikko Nasi as one of the best pure racers on the track, but he just had a nightmare of a last lap, and we're going to speak to him very shortly, but I think we should speak to Luke Bannister first.
Okay.
Luke, must be a bit, I mean, that is frustration on your face. Walk us through your race 1.
Yeah, the whole race, I was just trying to go as quickly as we could, trying to stay ahead of the Ibrahim Alif and Indigo group. That was my main goal, so I was just sticking behind when I had to, and then we got to that last lap and I tried to pass earlier in the lap, but I couldn't get it done, so then it came down to the last corner, and yeah, I didn't quite have a slipstream. He weaved out of it, and then I went on the brakes trying to go around the outside, and I think Mikko just went a little bit deep, so I had to fully come off the brakes, and luckily he didn't hit me, and then ended up P2.
So a bit unlucky there. Mikko outbraking himself forced you off the move, forced you out of the move.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we are going to have a reverse grid in race 2, and we know how strong the slipstream is. What's your tactic for race 2? Can you even have a strategy with so much carnage in one of these races?
I can have a strategy, but it'll probably go out the window. So
a lot of strategies then. You need a plan A through Z.
Be as safe as possible, really. That's all you can do. Try and see the incidents before they happen and back out of them if you can, and then do everything you can to get through it, and then it'll all come down to the end probably again.
Well, I say this time and time again, you just got to keep it on the black stuff. P2 still very good for the championship, so congratulations there, and we'll see how much you can climb up in race 2.
Cool.
All right.
We have to talk to Mikko Nasi.
Mikko Nasi.
Yeah. Okay, so Mikko Nasi, I mean, yeah, that was interesting. We just had a chat with Luke Bannister, and he said he saw you coming up the rear of him into the last corner. He got very worried and had to get off the brakes.
Yeah, that was an interesting race. It was I was during the race. I was thinking that Nucky probably missed more apexes than he has all season, but then I saved it until that last corner to make my mistake. Just unfortunate. It was I think the guys in front checked a tiny bit early, but I missed my braking point massively as well. Probably just distracted a little bit by the excitement of it all.
Right, so you were playing it easy then, just hanging back in P3, waiting to make your move. Was that the strategy?
Yeah, and not even so much waiting to make my move. I just figured that P3 would be solid points in the championship, and plan was to be there and pick up the pieces if something happens between the top 2. But of course, you still try to go for it.
We know that you're extremely good in go-karts, and of course you're Finnish, which means you're naturally good at rallying. How similar are both of those disciplines to driving the Lotus 49?
Yeah, actually, the most similar thing I've probably driven is the Caterhams, and kind of feel like home in the 49 in comparison to the Caterhams, because they're similar in that they have no extra gimmicks, no electronics, no ABS, no traction control, anything like that. They move around, and no aero either. So yeah, felt really nice to drive. Even with a limited amount of practice, it was awesome to not have to do much on setup and just focus on the driving. It was fun.
Yep, well, we know you're very fast on the Caterham as well. Anybody watching this, go and check out Miko's YouTube channel. He's got some pretty cool onboards there that you guys can check out. But tough race, Miko. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in race 2.
Yeah, we'll do better.
Awesome.
All right, let's go and take a look at the highlights from race 1.
Here's that start, all the cars getting off the line. And you can see the first half of the track, cars looking nice and careful, but then the second bunch here, going side by side, 4x4 cars aside, that doesn't work in T1. And then this battle here, there between Kalen Chin and Inigo Anton kind of broke up the groups. So then there was 3 cars out in front. And then this incident between Josh Perwin, championship leader, wasn't out of the race as we first thought, managed to recover to P13. But this was the 2 groups, these 3 up front fighting for the win, and then a group of 4 fighting for the low podium position. Then Mikko Nasi running wide at the last corner allowed Nakib to have an uncontested challenge to the finish line. He would take his second win of the season. Bannister in second. Inigo Anton sneaking through to P3.
All right, and here are the official results from the carnage of race 1, and it's Nakib Aslan with his second win of the season. We saw how much that meant to him. He was shaking. He was just ahead of Luke Bannister in P2, followed by the fast Filipino Inigo Anton, doing such a good job to get back up to a podium finish. It was Alif Hamilton in P4, but Ibrahim, our championship favorite, is in P5 with the fastest lap. He needs every single point he can get, and boy, he is collecting as much as he can. All right, so carnage there in race 1. I mean, Alex, apart from all the things that we've mentioned, I can't help but feel like luck is a little bit of a factor here.
It is. You've got to survive that first corner incident. You know, while we got a lot of experienced drivers in the championship, we've got a couple who are not as experienced. But you know, you just can't go 3 wide into turn 1, and the drivers have to be a bit patient there. They can get through the first couple of corners because it is a long race. Don't forget, race 2 is half an hour long with a pit stop. So drivers have to be patient. They can't afford to have an incident and lose the slipstream to the leading bunch because they'll never get it back again.
Well, and one driver that we said had to be patient at the start of this evening's racing was Mohammed Ibrahim. He has been put on the back foot because of his penalties from round 6. And it was all for Josh Perwin to gain. He started up in the mid-pack. He had his, his moments up at the front, but then just that bad luck. He had another driver tag him up the rear, putting him all the way into dead last. I can't help but feel like the tide has changed a little bit. And now Josh also has to be a little bit more reserved in his approach to race 2.
Yeah, so he was, like you said, he was in the leading bunch, then he got involved in that incident that almost put him out of the race. But I don't know, I haven't been able to reach out to him to find out if his force feedback is back. Because if he's driving without force feedback, it's very hard to keep put the car where you want it to. And if he's driving without force feedback, he's going to struggle in race 2. I'm hoping he's got it back and he can have a more competitive race 2.
Yep, and right now our drivers are in the middle of a inter-race practice session. They're going to be taking all of the learnings that they can from race 1. They can't do anything to the setup, unfortunately, so the team engineers are not going to be very useful in that regard. But what we have seen being very useful was from that interview with Nakib Aslan. He was saying that James Russell, the team manager of Stratos Motorsports, was in his ear on the team radio, giving him a bit of strategy as to when to make the move on Luke Bannister. And ultimately, like with Cup Pre Racing and motorbikes, it's all about timing it on the last lap. You don't want to be starting that last lap in first.
Okay, so what we're seeing now is you don't be exactly starting that last lap in first, but the question is, do you overtake at the next straight, or the next straight, or the next straight? Because if you overtake it the straight after turn 1, you might get done in the second straight. But it's also really tricky because coming out of turn 2, you see that huge bump onto the other start-finish straight.
They're flying.
Inigo Anton almost lost it in the last corner, on the last lap. So it is a risk versus reward strategy, and you have to play it right. And we talked about Ibrahim, who's in shot right now. Ibrahim he played that race quite well, I think. He didn't take big risks. Okay, he didn't finish in the top 3, but he finished 5th. Got some useful points, especially when the championship leader, Josh Perwin, was almost out of the race.
Well, I think I can firmly say that this is going to be my favorite round of the entire championship. I am so excited for race 2, and all of that action is going to be coming right your way right after this commercial break.
When I switched to Pro mileage, I got 47% of savings.
I paid 790 for it. Compared to any other insurer, the cheapest was 1,290. Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper.
My Volvo XC40 1 year premium 6,000 over ringgit. Then I start taking for mileage. I said, huh? 3,200 plus ringgit.
Claim went through pretty fast. I got my car back pretty quickly as well.
Called them about 8 o'clock in the morning. I think within 1 hour it came.
Again, and this is round 7 of E1 Season 2 here at the Monza Combined circuit. Now that sprint race showed some drivers testing the maximum potential of their cars by hitting top speeds on the circuit's 1.1 kilometer start-finish straight. Now the legendary Parabolica turn is a place where racing legends can be made, but also destroyed. Will going in reverse grid prove a higher difficulty for the drivers? Let's head into the race to find out.
Indeed, thank you, Amanda. Race 2 is coming up shortly with action brought to you by our sponsors, Evo Club Car Insurance with Pro Mileage. Make sure to check out their website to see how you can save 40% off of your next car insurance renewal. Now, off to the commentary box, it's Alex and Amo.
Thanks, Daniel, and well, we caught our breath now. We probably need to lose it again once the second race gets underway, because it is the reverse grid race with the top 15 get reversed, and on pole position is Dominic Ang, who we saw going torpedoing through the air in that first corner.
Wow, so Dominic Ang is be on pole position. There he is, Joaquin Garrido in second, Josh Perwin in third, so he can finish near the front. Arif Asbi fourth, Ivan Vantiago fifth, Daniel Martin there in sixth position, Melvin Tarner seventh, Kalen Chin in eighth. We have to watch out for him. He'll be strong in race 2. Miko Nasi P9, Josh Thomas in P10.
And that crucial thing, we talk about Josh Perwin, third place on the grid right now as we look through the rest of the field. 10th Chalmers, 11th Ibrahim, 12th Alif, who are right beside each other, 4th and 5th in the race. Inigo Anton, Naki Baslan as Bannister, 14th, and then Naki Baslan 50th because he won the race. Aaron Lim and Ricardo Pacelli round up the rear. So all 70 drivers have returned for the second race, but we had to talk about what happened to Josh Perwin in that first race. Innocent bystander in that accident, got rolled out a bit and then into the pits. That don't you think, Alex, will be the pivotal turning point in the championship season?
It will. Well, it could be. Let's see what happens in race 2. Still a lot could happen. I mean, Powen could end up winning this, and maybe both his Team Flash rivals might not even win the race. So let's see. But it is definitely high pressure stakes right now. We're at the business end of the season. You can't afford any mistakes.
Indeed, and we have the green Stratos Motorsports car of Dominic Ang, car 333. And that's pretty much as close as we could get to the Team Lotus colors back in the day. 1967, they ran still the colors of the British Racing green, but further behind you can see that Josh Powen's colors is a bit close to what Lotus ran the next year with the gold leaf team colors. Quite nice to see that a lot of teams went retro for this one.
Yeah, that is nice. I love that they've all gone retro. It's. I mean, a lot of these drivers and teams, they all historians as well of the sport, love the sport, and it's so cool seeing these cars.
Absolutely. And we're going to have a bit of an American vibe to it. It's a bit like Indianapolis, where they have had rolling starts even from the beginning back in 1911. This one, they had a race of two worlds back then when American championship order racing cars came over across the Atlantic to do a start line rolling start. So it's no surprise here that we get to do the same thing here today in 2021 with the E1 Championship. So we wait for the lights. Green light will come on, or in this case the green flag will drop. Dominic Ang controls the pace of the field. They speed up towards the line now, and the race is underway, and that's a good start there from Dominic Ang. He gets the whole shot coming to turn 1, but Josh Powen powers his way through the field. He tries to go on the inside then, as they come out to the banking now. It's a 5-way scrap for the lead.
Oh, Dominic has to make sure he tries to keep in one line. Garrido there has to be careful as well. Oh, someone going wide there and then coming down inside. That's a perfect way to start. Big accident.
Oh, that's a big accident already, and Garrido's out. Garrido's been knocked down, and you can see the disappointment on his face. He thought that he'd be in a prime position to get his first ever podium of the season. Look at that. The sheer frustration on his face it's palpable. You can feel it there. It wasn't his fault. It's just a bit of a slight contact, and he's been sent into Narnia and out of the race. And Powen's involved as well. Powen's out of the race.
Yeah, both those drivers. Oh, just got tagged. You could see it coming. And you can see, whoa, again, who's that? Oh, 32. Oof.
Oh, that car's flipped over, and that's Vantagiato. Vantagiato has dropped his way through the field. As further behind, there's more mayhem, and hopefully everyone can get through there safely. There's a car doing a breakdance on the Grand Prix start finish straight. Oh, Dominac's been hit by Josh Thomas. He cuts the entire first section. What is going on here, lads?
Wow, and he's smiling there. He's going to get a slowdown penalty for that. He'll have to slow down. But cars all over the place. There's Josh Thomas, got lucky with that. Melvin Tan there in third position. Mohamed Ibrahim, whoa, both Flash cars made it through safely through that carnage.
Oh, wow, that is big. That's advantageous because look at this. Where is Luke Bannister? Where's Josh Powen? They're in the pit lane, 15, 17. Oh, there's a spin. Alif has been spun around by Melvin Tan. What a disastrous start for the championship contenders. And oh, he's actually from the previous round as he comes onto the inside of Dominic Ang now. He tried to do that, but he couldn't. But he has actually forced Dominic off onto the gravel trap, and he nearly ran to the back of him. He's smiling right now because he knows full well that his teammate's been involved in a massive accident, flipped around, and his championship rival, his main championship rival, is still in the pit lane.
Wow, so Ibrahim has to be calm here. With this sort of advantage, it's not about winning the race. It's about making sure you collect good points because his championship rivals, I don't think, are going to score any points in this round.
Yep, indeed. And guess who else is going to have an opportunity to score points? Naki Bazlan, who is actually in third place right now. He's following Ibrahim through. Dominic Ang ran white coming through the Parabolica, the Michele Eberato Parabolica, as we complete a chaotic and highly frenetic lap 1. Josh Thomas is in the lead, 1.8 seconds. Mr. Consistency, who was absolutely consistent in the first few runs of the season before he went off the boil slightly, now is in clear air, and he's now broken the toe away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, so great opportunity there for him. But, he has got a gap. He's really in first place to try and win this race. But he's got these 4 cars. If these 4 cars, second, third, fourth, fifth position, if they work together, they could close down the gap to the leader.
Yeah, but the slipstream battle here between these guys may not be sufficient because, of course, yes, it might actually come out to the back of Josh Thomas, but if they start squabbling through the wiggly bits, especially through the Grand Prix section, they might actually hinder each other.
Oof, there's Naki Bazlan. He's got the toe on Ibrahim, but he's just kind of staying there. They're all just holding station at the moment. And look at that, they've closed down the gap to Thomas already.
Oh, but Ibrahim runs wide coming out to turn 1. That allows the opportunity for Nakib. Oh, they've actually hit each other. It's almost Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton version for a second, as Ibrahim has to slow down a bit to give position back to Nakib. I think that was probably a common courtesy. That wasn't a penalty by any chance by Alex?
I don't know, he just lost all drive. They had that small contact, but then lost all drive out the corner. Don't know what happened there, but Nakib there up to P4, and has let the other two cars, Lim and Ang, through.
Oh, I think that was probably because he actually cut the chicane, so he had to actually give up time, because iRacing has that thing where if you cut the course, you're going to have to give up that time, so that's what I think Ibrahim did. And now, consequently, he has actually lost those positions that he gained earlier on, so now he's at the back of that queue with still Melwin Tan and Miko Nasi chasing. Miko's actually going on the inside. Oh, he's actually gone off into the gravel trap slightly coming out of Lesmo too, so that battle probably is putting a bit of a relief on Ibrahim's face. He knows full well that he didn't lose too much time in that particular instance.
And it's all looking good for his teammate. Look at that, Josh Thomas, 3 seconds in front of everyone else. So that's really looking good for them. Aaron Lim in second place. He's not finished on the podium in any of the rounds so far. Could this be a chance for him and Dominic Ang up there in second and third position?
Best finish of the season so far, 7th, and that was at Indianapolis, where he showed his best run of the forms this season. And he has been there or thereabout in the top 10 throughout the entire season, but never as good as this right now. But he's got a lot of hungry sharks right behind him, with the likes of fellow rear-wheel driver Dominic Ang, who was involved in that. He was involved in that collision that very first race as well. So they're both looking to actually improve themselves in the second race as they start lap 3 now. Josh Thomas with the fastest lap so far of the race, and they come across the line. Dominic on the inside. They're going to go side by side the banking. Nakib there probably.
This and slipstream each other. Maybe they can close down the gap to Thomas.
Maybe, but having said that, Alex, it's 3.6 seconds now between them, so they've actually done what I was actually thinking of. When they start squabbling each other, they're going to lose more time, and now they've lost time, big time here. So Thomas is certainly ahead. He's probably on his way to his first ever win of the season, but remember, there's still pit stops to go, so mandatory pit stops at any point in the race that they can do to continue to do it to the end. Now then, coming out to turn 1, who's going to be bravest? Or not turn 1 of the Grand Prix course, turn 3 in fact. And Ibrahim has actually held on to it. So P2 is Ibrahim's. Dominic has actually tucked in P3, Nakib P4, and P5 is Aaron Lim. So Aaron from second place at one point has dropped it all the way to the back. But now all is not lost yet. There's still 24 minutes left to go in this race for him to actually make up a lot of time.
Ibrahim's he's got the gap though. Nakib got wheel spin out of turn 4 just now. That's allowed Ibrahim to have a big gap there. Although Asan just about hangs off P3.
And we heard just now what Miko said about Nakib during the interview, that Nakib is just missing a lot of apexes, isn't he? Because he said that he's missed a lot of apex in that one race alone than the entire season he had in E1. So probably he's still not liking the grip, coming to terms with the grip of the car, because cross-ply tires, you have a tendency to slide more. But he has come into this race having won the first race, so probably he's just a bit, just tentatively coming to the race.
Okay, as we watch championship leader right now, Ibrahim, let's see some replays from that first lap carnage.
Oh, that's Bowen involved, and that's how he got sent over into the barriers and out of the race. And luckily for him, this is not real, otherwise that would have easily been a fatal crash. And look at how much the car is still somersaulting through the air before it comes to the stop. And Garrido's already out of it by this point because he went straight into the trees and out. This is what happened to Anton. Oh, he's touched the wall as well, and that caused the chain reaction where we had that massive accident on the Grand Prix main straight. 4 cars breakdancing. You thought this was actually the west coast of America or something, but in actuality, we're in Monza, Italy, and Anton has ended up the worst of the lot. He's right at the back, and now he's in 14th. More replays here. This is what happened to Bannister, and this is the reason why we've lost both BlackArts cars from the front of the field, and what a disaster for them in the team championship, which effectively means Flash will actually get the most number of points here as we look what happened to Alif here during lap 2, I think. He is behind Alif at this point. Oh, actually, this is actually Alif. Sorry, I thought it was Ibrahim.
He got tagged by Aaron Lim braking for the second chicane. Then he went over the sausage curb. Look at this. He actually flipped over the sausage curb. We just missed that replay. Back to the front though. Thomas is still way out in front. Good 3 seconds on everyone else. Ibrahim there in second position, still holding off the others, but Nakib is in the slipstream, and you just got to feel he's going to close that gap to P2 now.
Indeed, and well, this is 2v1, isn't it? We already saw instances this season of teamwork coming to the fore. We're going to have to see it here as well. As we see the insets of Josh Thomas and Ibrahim. Josh has moved away for as Nakib goes onto the inside here of Ibrahim. He looked at it, but he braked just in time to avoid having a collision, whereas further behind, Aaron Lim locks up big time, and he has fallen into the clutches of Kalen Chin. But the battle for second, third, and fourth here is going to be intense because it is an inter-team battle. Flash may not be in it for this season, but they will love as well to actually finish high up in the team standings with a lot of money on the line.
Well, Alif there looking quite good. Is getting, he was off. So up to P6, so he's not out of it. He's just behind Aaron Lim. And if he can get past Aaron nice and easily. Oh, as he does it, Aaron gets wide. He's going to get past Aaron easily. And then if he can just find a bit...
Well, not out. He did finish 13th, but not as many points as we would have hoped. This second race, he's now a mere back marker right at the back in P17, with Bannister only going to get 1 point out of this. So Team Flash are looking good in the team's championship here, coming into the final right at Silverstone. But double points there, isn't it, Alex?
Absolutely. But before we get there, let's focus on this race. Ibram, he's closing down that gap to Thomas. It's only 3.1 seconds now. So the speed of Ibram, oh, as Nakib there misses the apex again. Nakib there, he can't afford to keep missing these apexes, because if he loses the slipstream to Ibrahim, that's it. He's no way back from there. Look at these 8/10 off Ibrahim at the moment. So, but I got a feeling this race is not over. Ibrahim's only 3 seconds behind Josh Thomas, and he's dragging Nakib Aslan with him.
Exactly 3 seconds across the line as further behind, Kaylee Chin sets the fastest lap of the race. He is behind Aaron Lim right now, so he's in a battle of his own. Further up in front, we're actually looking at this. Josh Thomas, his lead is receding slightly. Not that much, but ever so slightly, because I think Nakib will probably plan to work together with Ibrahim here to share the draft and try to get as close as possible back to the first place.
See, I think Nakib's going to be quite smart there. If he gets an easy overtake of the slipstream, I'm sure he'll take it. But otherwise, I think he's quite content just to stay in the slipstream. Because if Ibrahim can keep producing these laps, he's going to close the gap to Thomas, and he'll drag Nakib Aslan with him.
Indeed, and as they come across the final corner of the banking into the Grand Prix start-finish straight, 2.93, so they've gained about 700s in that particular lap. But they're coming up to the first corner now. This is potentially where the gap's going to increase if Nakib battles Muhammad Ibrahim. No, he doesn't. So you're right to call that one, Alex. He is playing it smart. They're trying to actually gain the gap onto the back of the leading Safehouse car. As further behind, this is Alif.
Yeah, championship rival there. He's not gone. He looks like he's also closing the gap. But he's just out of slipstream right now, tantalizing out of slipstream, and he's just dropping back from the guys in front. Whereas Kalen Chin and Miko Nase seems to be getting closer to Alif.
Yeah, and the BRM style color car. It looks like a BRM actually. I can't have any way to look at it. It reminds me of Graham Hill and Jack Brabham driving those cars. Such beautiful cars and such a historic name in Formula 1 racing. So we're glad to see that there's a bit of a semblance of the colors here. As he comes through to the Lesmos. P6, after starting right in the middle of that mid-pack, he was lucky to actually not get involved in any of the shenanigans in that first lap. Yes, he might have actually got the hit slightly, but it looks as though he is actually on his way to recovering up to 5th place. Coming out of Lesmo 2, you can hear the car on the power. The full V8, the cost of DMVs, you can hear how it is in full song. It's just a beautiful sight, a beautiful sound.
And Ibrahim's definitely closing that gap, and he's breaking the gap to Nakib Aslan. So 2.5 seconds off Thomas, and looks like Nakib is out of the slipstream as well. So Ibrahim's doing a really good job there.
And first to fifth, you can see they're coming out of the Ascari. Ibrahim actually can still see Thomas up in the distance somewhat, so it's still a far-away battle for the lead, but we still have a pit stop to go. So if those pit stops shake up the order, we might actually have yet another grandstand finish.
That's right, we're 13 minutes into this 30-minute race, and we have to think about pit stops. Who could be coming in for pit stops?
Interesting then, no one is actually coming yet, because as we mentioned earlier, we already established coming into the qualifying session, these tires are actually quite long-lasting, because back then, cross-power radial tires, you can actually just go through an entire race and denser, because Jim Clark, there were tales of him even using the same set of tires that he used in the previous race for all the sessions and up to the next race. As we have lost sight of the pictures here for a second, we'll probably get to the bottom of that, but still though, pit stops may come into play here right now, so we've lost pictures completely.
Okay. Okay, just back to the commentary. The race is still going, but the broadcast has stopped. Here we are. Okay, we're back. Okay, so back. Josh Thomas is still leading that race. He has 2.2 second lead over Muhammad Ibrahim. Aslan, though, has closed back up to Ibrahim, so the slipstream has worked.
So basically, they're towing each other now, in inverted commas towing, because we are not really sure how much of a gap they're gaining right now. But in terms of actual raw pace, it looks as though Ibrahim actually has it, despite not being in the toe of Thomas. So Thomas is losing a lot of time in the infield section.
Okay, so these are the first three looking. There is Naqib Aslan closing to Ibrahim. There's a battle for fourth position between Dominic Ang and Alif. Alif has closed down that gap to Ang, and you just got to feel it's a matter of time before the Singaporean gets through.
Yeah, indeed, and he'll be trying to actually better what he did in that first race. Fourth place, he was in front of his teammate Ibrahim, but he still needs to actually be well in front in order to actually challenge for him in the championship right now, which in turn looks not slim because it's only 1 point after the drop points, but you still think that he just wants to get as many points as possible off his teammate because despite being held back for one race, Ibrahim still looks so strong.
Yeah, exactly right there. Watch it. Oh, Alif dives down the inside at Ascari. Makes the apex. That's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a very, very typical move, and I'm surprised that Dominic didn't fight it any harder because that actually has given up more time to Mikko Nasi and Kaelin Chin, so these two behind him can actually battle with him, so they have to watch out their rears now in case they get the slipstream.
And I don't know why Dominic's not tucking into the slipstream. Okay, I know there's a lot more straights later on after this corner, maybe he doesn't need to. That's probably it. He just doesn't need to, I guess. There's so much slipstream opportunity. I'm just not used to seeing drivers tuck out of the slipstream.
Well, he's going to see it now, actually, because he's coming up onto the banking, the old banking at this Monza circuit where it's not been used for proper competition since 1961, but it has been used for the World Sports Car Championship because they still ran the 1,000 kilometers of Monza on the banking. And fun fact, the Ford GT40 was the only car that could keep up with the Grand Prix cars of the era, so when they filmed Grand Prix, they used the Ford GT40 as a camera car.
Wow, isn't that incredible? Okay, what are we now? We're almost half distance now. You would think that some of these drivers would start to think about pit stops.
Yeah, indeed, and we're coming past, in fact, we're already past the halfway point of the race, so pit stops, I think we might safely say go on to the final lap of the race. As what's happened to the front? Josh Thomas is actually only 0.6 of a second ahead of Ibrahim, so what happened to Josh Thomas? He's lost a huge amount of time at the lead. Now, Ibrahim is right at his tail.
I don't think anything happened. I think Ibrahim was slowly closing that gap. He got within 1.5 seconds, and then boom, the slipstream was suddenly came to play, and that's why he's closed the gap to Thomas.
Oh, we're rubbing our hands in glee right now. If these two start battling, and Josh does hold out Ibrahim at the front, this will bring Naqib Aslan into play, and will bring, Kaelin Chin was into play as well, but he's about 5 seconds behind, so something happened between Dominic Ang, Alif, to actually give position up to both Kaelin and now Mikko Nasi. So that's a different battle of its own. We might have to focus on that later, but we're looking at right now Josh Thomas and Mohammed Ibrahim. That's the fight for the lead. To the battle at the front, there's Kaelin Chin leading the other pack of drivers from 4th to 7th. Dominic Ang bringing up the rear of that one. In between, actually, that's actually Nasi in between. Alif is in between of that. So there's going to be a close battle between these guys. But at the front, it's only 5/10 right now.
Yeah, so this battle, so two groups right now. But let's look at Thomas right now. Thomas, there he is. He's only got 3/10 on Ibrahim. Ibrahim looks like he's going to take the lead on this lap if he uses a slipstream well.
And he is definitely going to use that slipstream because there's no other way for Thomas to defend apart from just weaving side to side, trying to break the toe. Look at that, 1.1 seconds difference in terms of lap time last time around. Ibrahim with the fastest lap of the race, 2:34.8 as they come into the banking now. He is going to tuck in on that slipstream, just slightly below that line, but I think it's enough for him to actually just get it, unless Thomas will manage to break that toe.
He's right there, tucks out of the slipstream, that's it. In between banking turn 1 and turn 2. Ibrahim leads for the first time today.
Ibrahim then side by side with Josh Thomas. Josh then not giving him much of a fight because he knows full well that if they start squabbling here and they touch wheels, it's over. They're going to crash into the barrier and they're going to break both of their races. So Josh Thomas then on course to his best ever finish this season. Well, matching his best finish of the season because he finished second in the second race at Gilles Villeneuve. But how he loved that to get a win, especially off the previous championship leader. But I think at the end of this run, he might be potentially back in the championship lead.
Wow, Ibrahim's really late on the brakes there, but he makes the apex really well done. Watch the exit out of here. Thomas gets a good exit. So does Ibrahim. And they are just gapping Naqib Aslan in third. Naqib's just way out of it, 3.3 seconds behind the leading two.
Yeah, they're not squabbling, and I thought Josh might just give a bit of a look on the inside, trying to make Ibrahim make a mistake, but no, he's actually tucking in. So if all else fails, this is going to be the battle for the lead between just the two drivers. And I was expecting a big group because I wanted to see a very close battle, at least between 3 to 4 drivers like we had back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, it's just because the squabbling is over especially the first lap drama. Really, this kind of breaks up the group. But Josh there in P2, does he have the pace to get back in front of Ibrahim? That is the question.
Yeah, that's a good question indeed, because right now Ibrahim has built up a 4:10 gap ahead of Thomas. Thomas is just biding his time. He did lose that gap slightly because of probably making a mistake somewhere, because he lost an entire second in just one lap, and then Ibrahim just got to the back of him. So probably just needs to recompose himself, get to the back of Ibrahim, and probably try to plan out the same maneuver that Mikko Nassi unfortunately did not do on the final lap, and try to actually get his first victory of the season.
Okay, there's Nakib Aslan in third. Let's go back to that battle for fourth position. Kalen Chin there. He's put a bit of daylight, hasn't he, between him and Muhammad Alif? And look at that, Mikko Nassi's disappeared, so he's had a mistake or an incident off camera.
Yeah, Nakib actually is just further ahead of these two by about 5 seconds. Kalen now, now imagine between him, he's into the pits. He's with the very first drivers to come to the pits. Now that's an interesting
4 leaders.
Okay.
So they have to fill up the petrol.
Okay, so that will actually be the possibility of why he actually pit early. Maybe he used up too much fuel as rest of the field come in as well. Melvin Tanner came into the pits, Bocelli comes into the pits, Vantagiato comes to the pits. So both Italian drivers, well, one by heritage and one by actual nationality, have come to the pits. So the drivers in that midfield have actually come in, but we're looking up further in front. 0.4 of a second still between Ibrahim and Thomas. But you can't really separate between these two. You might just say, well, Ibrahim is going to take it, but Thomas has not given this up. Mr. Consistency is back to being Mr. Consistency.
Yeah, but Thomas very tentative through turns 1 and 2, and has lost a bunch of ground to Ibrahim. So I think actually Ibrahim's going to take this, because he's looking really good. Ibrahim knows his chance. If he can just eke out a couple more tenths, maybe half a second before the end of this lap, he could be gone. He could break the slipstream.
And look, he's lost further time coming through the Radial Eurasia. It's almost a second. It's in fact touching a second here coming through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. You're right, Alex. I think he's just kind of lost it. Unless he comes to the pits to get into a new set, fresh set of tires and topping out with fuel first. He could try to undercut Ibrahim.
Yeah, I think Thomas made a mistake there. He had the opportunity to overtake the turn 3, but he decided to play the waiting game, was way too tentative through the first chicane, and just lost way too much time to the Indian. And so Ibrahim, he knows this is his chance. He's 1 second in front of Thomas. If he can find another 3-4 more tenths, he's going to be breaking the slipstream and he'll be gone, and the race win will be his.
And it will be now back onto the onus of Josh Thomas to actually keep up the pace, because we saw just now Ibrahim as far back as 3.7 seconds at one point. He managed to make out that gap, and without the use of a toe. So Thomas then, despite having a toe behind Ibrahim, is not able to actually catch up to him. This is disastrous for the Safehouse driver if he can't actually make out the pace. I think he's going to come into the pits. In fact, both of them coming to the pits at the same time. So no undercut strategy, overcut. It's about a battle of crews, and Nakib Aslan takes the lead. This time, he'll try the overcut.
Wow, okay, so we'll have to watch, see what happens. Nakib Aslan goes in the lead, has not had the pace in race 2, to be honest, just hanging back there 3.5 seconds off the leaders. But he has the lead for now. Can he come up with a special strategy, maybe go a bit longer than everyone, and like you say, undercut them?
Well, in this case, Nakib will try to overcut, because normally if tires last very long, they can overcut. We've seen that, especially in 2017, where in F1 2017, where the tires were much harder. You can overcut drivers, and this is what Nakib is aiming to do, because these tires don't really fall off the cliff as much as the IRO ones. So he has the opportunity to actually get back into the lead, but he's going to have to pull in a stonking net lap in order to do so.
Yeah, my mistake, overcut. You're absolutely correct. Look at Kalen Chin going around the outside of Alif. He has managed the undercut with that earlier pit stop, and that's a big gap. So there we go, Kalen Chin up to P4, Alif up to P5, and just behind them, Mikko Nassi in P6.
Boy, did he really squeeze? Sorry, Alex. Alif really squeezed Kalen there for a second. I thought that Kalen was just going to get involved in an accident, but he didn't back out. He planted the loud pedal, and he's up to 4th. So first of the drivers to stop, well, the ones that are not involved in that accident to get back to the pits. The first driver to stop proper has undercut the rest.
Well, I think Mikko Nassi was actually the first to stop, because he disappeared the lap before, didn't he, from that battle? And there he is, there in P6. I want to just go back to the battle for second, which is the net lead, because Ibrahim
has eked out almost a 3-second advantage to Thomas. So even after the pit stops, Thomas has no answer to Ibrahim's pace.
Yeah, must have had a messy pit stop, or
maybe he put on too much fuel, lost too much time. Maybe he changed, no, I don't think he changed tires. If he changed tires, he would have gone even further back.
Oh, Muhammad Ali. Ali has actually gotten ahead of Kalen Chin, and in turn, Miko has also gotten ahead of Kalen. So probably out of our view there. Kalen was ahead of this pack, remember, coming out of the oval. So he might have been taken coming into the Rettifilio.
So looking good there. We should go back to Nakib Aslan to see if he goes in the pit. This is him coming through the last corner. Is he going to use the pit? Yes, he is.
But look at the amount of time he lost. It was 26 seconds between himself and Ibrahim as he comes to the pit. Yes, granted, he's going to lose that gap even more because he's actually in a crawl right now. But even before coming to the pits, it looks as though he's losing time, and that in-lap may not be enough to maintain the lead of the race.
No, definitely not. Ibrahim should be leading this race comfortably. He's done a great job around the pits. Great in-lap, great out-lap. And look at that. As he comes across the start-finish line.
There is Nakib on the bottom of the screen there, on the left-hand side, behind Ibrahim's inset. He's going to come onto the track now. Ibrahim's going to take the lead. The overcut strategy, while it looked effective for a second, is not enough for Nakib to maintain the lead. Now, it's a straight battle between whoever can actually catch up to Ibrahim, as Nakib now tries to build up the speed here, coming from the banking. It looks as though he's managed to maintain second place, but only just because he's only 8/10 ahead of Josh Thomas.
You're right, there is Nakib. And of course, he's still getting up to speed. Takes a long time to get these cars up to speed. And you got Josh Thomas there, closing, just behind him, and comfortably in the slipstream now.
So coming out to the banking, the second turn here, officially second turn, because it's not like Indianapolis where it's a 4-corner turn. It's pretty much a rectangle. This one is a full elliptical shape, but with 2 straights in between. Now, Nakib Aslan is under pressure from Josh Thomas. Josh, who has not been able to turn the initial pace that he had when he took the lead. He's flying 5 a second. Coming up to the Grand Prix start-finish straight into the Rettifilio. That's not enough. He just tucked in. He's probably thinking of the same thing that Ibrahim did, but it may be too little too late here to tandem draft.
No, he's making a mistake again. I would have gone for the lead into that corner, because again, too tentative through that first chicane, has a poor exit and loses the gap to Nakib. It's not that big a worry because there's so much slipstreaming around here. He will close that gap, but it shows a lack of intent. And for me, I would have made that move and see if they could slipstream each other to try and close the gap to Ibrahim. But as it is, you can see that Thomas is definitely settling for either second or third position in this race.
And he's doing the same thing like what Miko Nasi did. Remember, we had a Safehouse car in third place in that first race. We thought he was on for the win until he locked up to the final corner, which forced Luke Bannister also off. That gave Nakib Aslan an easy win in that first race. This time, though, Nakib is in second. He has yet another Safehouse car behind. He's going to have to defend it, so it's a bit deja vu, but they would have actually loved to have to battle for the win here.
Okay, let's go back to the battle for fourth position, because there's a Leaf, and he's pulled out a bit of a gap, 8/10 on Kalen Chin. That battle behind them between Kalen Chin and Miko Nasi, they're all still within the slipstream, so that should come back together again.
Yeah, we look at this battle for fourth place right now. This might be the next best battle on the track, because first, second, and third are 2 spots apart from each other right now. For the on the right-hand side of the screen, Vantage Jetto and Perwin having their own battle. Perwin then very disconsolate 14th place. In the case of what might have been having started on P3 at the start of the race, that could have actually helped out his championship chances after being whacked out in race 1. But in this case, that's how the cookie crumbles. He's going to have to drop this particular round, coming into the final round of the season in Silverstone.
That's right, such a shame for Josh Perwin. Let's go on board with him right now. We can see him right now. This is Josh right now. Yeah, he's a lap down, a couple laps down. He's all by himself. Such a shame. Tough for the championship leader. He's going to go away from round 7, no longer in the championship lead.
So we go to Ibrahim as this is the final lap of the race now. In fact, we are on the final lap. So Ibrahim then is touring around lap 12. He is definitely going to take back the lead of the championship after such a strong round. 5th place in race 1 and back to winning ways in race 2 after being disqualified from the entire round, the previous round for the Circuit de la South, as Nakib now goes around the outside of Josh Thomas and takes 2nd place. Or is it the other way around, because they were actually battling? But either way, Nakib has maintained 2nd. Josh then not being able to get past Nakib yet, as further behind in 4th place. Alif now battling with Kalen Chin and Nakib, and Miko Nasi. So Miko then, deja vu, is a battle between 3 cars, and he hopefully doesn't want to get on the wrong end of it this time.
Kalen Chin on the inside defending from Miko Nasi. They're going to go side by side to the chicane. Oh, that was always going to happen with netcode. Oh dear for Kalen Chin. He drops down to P2. Let's go to the battle, back to the battle for P2 then, shall we?
Yep. This is pretty much the closest battle we're going to have on the track here. Apart from that battle for P4, which has broken up prematurely because of a slight netcode issue that we've kind of had throughout the entire season. But besides the point, we have a battle on here right now for P2. Never mind P1. 4.6 seconds ahead. Ibrahim's going to take it. But who's going to take P2 here? Nakib with a double podium on the cards. He will love to have it again after such a strong outing last time out at the Circuit de la South. Out of the Escari onto the back straight. This is going to be onto the final corner now, the Michele Barretto Parabolica. He tries to break the toe. We're not looking at Ibrahim. Ibrahim for sure going to take the race win as Thomas goes around the outside coming to the Parabolica, and he's off onto the escape road. Again, he does the same thing as Mikko Nasi. He has actually cocked it up at the final corner, but at the front, Ibrahim comes across the line and takes victory comfortably by 5 seconds ahead of Nakib Aslan and Josh Thomas in third place. He might not be too disappointed by that, but it could have been second. Fourth place is Alif, recovers after crashing out in race 1 where he flipped. Fifth place is Mikko Nasi, and 6 is Kaelin Chin. A bit of a slow burner towards the end, but nonetheless, a very exciting race.
Kaelin Chin will be disappointed with P6. I'm sure he thought he could have got P4, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, like you say sometime. But let's go on board and talk with Muhammad Ibrahim. That was a really thoughtful race, strategically perfect, just kept out of trouble. Ibrahim, you've had a tough couple of weeks. What a way to get back on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, it's a nice win. You know, this was one of the toughest wins. I think this is because the slipstream is so powerful. You know, from 3 seconds back, you're getting a bit of a toe. So it was a very tough race to just make no mistakes, because on this car, if you miss the braking point by a meter, you're straight through the bollards.
Yeah, we could see you braking as late as possible, using every inch of the road, especially the first chicane. You looked really impressive there. And was that the right move at that time? Were you planning that? Okay, with Josh just behind you, try and break that toe?
Yeah, no, I was planning it. You know, I said take your time and plan when was the perfect time to pass, basically.
Wow,
Walk us through your start. I mean, there was a lot of carnage that happened, and there's only so much I think we can pick up on the replay. How was the start for you, that opening lap?
Yeah, the start was oof. You see cars flying around everywhere. It's so scary. Although you're not even driving in real life, so it's quite scary seeing the cars flying around.
Yeah, indeed. It definitely looked scary. Thank God it was Eracing. Congratulations again on a P1. Very, very strong bounce back, and I'm sure it's gonna be very helpful in the overall championship standings.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful for the win, and I would like to say sorry for last week and all the mess that happened. And hopefully this continues like this. Thanks, guys.
Fantastic. I have to say that's everyone has adversity at some point, but to come back like that with a really strategic masterclass, good job for Muhammad Ibrahim.
Well, that's the end of race 2 here for round 7 of the season. We're going to come back next week at the Silverstone circuit. But for now, it's back to the studio with Daniel.
Thank you, Amo. We will be back in 2 weeks, actually. Don't forget, make sure you mark the date in your calendar. It will be November 3rd, where we come back for our season finale. There's going to be double points, and there are also going to be just the championship up in the air. Now, before we go to a commercial break, Amo, please walk us through the unofficial results from race 2.
All right, certainly. As we now look at the Parabolica, the Michele Barretto Parabolica, we look at the unofficial results for race number 2 here, round 7 at Monza. It's Ibrahim, who's back to winning ways. His first win in the championship since round 4, actually. That's quite a long time that he has had a win officially. That's not taken away from him. So that was back at Charlotte Motor Speedway in race 1. Nakib Aslan with a strong weekend for Stratos Motorsports in P2 after winning in race 1. So he'll be walking away a happy chappy. Third place is Josh Thomas. He might have been second had it not been for that lockup, but Safehouse seems as though that last corner at the Parabolica seems to be a Achilles heel. Fourth, Alif, who recovered well after crashing out spectacularly in the first few laps. Fifth is Mikko Nasi. 6th, Kaelin Chin. 7th, Dominic Ang. 8th, Riccardo Pacelli on his home track. A very good finish for him. Best finish of the season so far. And 9th and 10th, the Team EGT cars, Aaron Lim and Melvin Tan. What a good result for that particular team.
All right, thank you, Amo. Now we'll actually be going for a commercial break, but don't go anywhere. Despite the action being over for tonight, there is a lot to unpack. We're going to analyze the championship results, go and take a look at the highlights from race 2. All of that coming your way in a moment.
When I switched to pro mileage, I got 47% of savings.
I paid 790 for it. Compared to any other insurer, the cheapest was 1,290. Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper.
My Volvo XC40 1 year premium 6,000 over ringgit. Then I start taking for mileage. I say, 3,200 plus ringgit.
Claim went through pretty fast. I got my car back pretty quickly as well.
Called them about 8 o'clock in the morning. I think within 1 hour it came.
So Team Flash at front, not surprised, they are the reigning champions and they got two really good drivers.
Hello everyone, I'm Mohammed Ibrahim.
Hi, I'm Alif. I'm the drivers champion from season 1 and we are the team's champion from season 1 of E1.
Team Flash made a very shrewd choice. They already had Alif Hamilton in the pocket, the reigning champion, but they knew they needed someone that knew iRacing very well because it's a very specialized game. So they went out on a limb and grabbed Ibrahim, which will be a good choice because Ibrahim is red hot in iRacing. So
now Mohammed Ibrahim is just pipping out ahead, but Alif is coming up. He has also had his first win. So it's just taken him a couple of rounds to get into the groove of things.
It was a very, very positive round for me, getting the clean sweep finally, man. I mean, I've been trying so hard, I've been working a lot, getting faster on iRacing, and yeah, seeing it come to fruition is it's a very satisfying thing for me.
Being with Alif, he's last season's champion, so you get to learn a lot from him, and he's really quick and he's won on multiple platforms, so it's really nice working with him.
Mohammed Ibrahim come away with 6 pole positions out of 6, breaking records, winning races, and really holding his own up at the front despite all of the challenges and curveballs that the championship has provided him so far.
Mohammed Ibrahim is interested in Mohammed Ibrahim. He doesn't want to play second fiddle as he was asked to last year with Naki. He wants to be the boss man.
To be honest, I was expecting us to work more hand in hand, but we rarely come online together. It's a lot more difficult now.
It's going to be a big challenge, but I'll be working hard and spending the time I need to be competitive in all around.
Last round, we saw him make an accusation.
When things don't go his way, he kind of falls apart.
Which ultimately had a huge impact on his Drivers' Championship standings.
but also the team's championship standings.
He has contravened the regulations we have in E1 called the general behavior rule. So the stewards have decided that Ibrahim will be excluded from round 6. So all the points he scored in round 6 in qualifying in race 2 will be taken away from him. And because he's got the penalty point situation and this is an extra penalty towards him, he will have to serve a qualifying ban in round 7.
I felt it was very, very careless. I told him as well personally that the consequence is the team's points get lowered as well. I don't think it should be something that's acceptable.
Judging by how they've been acting, it might be fair to say that the drivers aren't helping each other as much. They're very much working on their own.
They work together on the track. You see they always try and help each other get in good positions on the track. But they can't work together to do setup and stuff.
But ultimately, it's still Team Flash in the front.
And that's a good thing or a bad thing. But a Maverick in racing, fabulous.
So I'll be very frank, I think my forecast for the team's championship standings is that Team Flash is going to walk away with it.
For me, I think Team Flash are odds on to win the team championship. We've got Alif and Ibrahim driving really well. Champions by a mile, Flash.
This season I hope to win the championship, and that's definitely my goal. I really work hard to make that happen.
May the best man win.
May the best man win indeed. Welcome back to E1 Championship Season 2. We've just wrapped up all the races in action for round 7 held at Monza, and all of that action was brought to you by our sponsors, Evo Club Car Insurance with Pro Mileage. Make sure to check out the website to see how much you can save off of your next car insurance renewal. Now, Alex, usually we talk about the commentator's curse and how our predictions lead to the opposite eventually coming to fruition. But it looks like you, me, and Des had the same predictions that Team Flash would do very well, and despite the constant setbacks being thrown their way, I mean, especially to Mohammed Ibrahim, they just seem to keep coming out in front. I mean, luck is really on their side.
Well, they've just been the best team so far. That's why they're leading the championship. You know, Ibrahim had a rough week last week. You know, drivers, everyone makes mistakes from time to time, but it's how you recover from those mistakes, whether you can put in the performance. And that's what Ibrahim's done today. He's done a great performance under big pressure, we have to say. Don't forget that if he'd made a mistake today, he would have got a qualifying ban again for the next race if he got some more penalty points. So he's under that cloud, and he still drove perfectly, didn't overdrive, chose his moments perfectly, and he won race 2, and he's now back in the championship lead.
And another driver that's actually driving out of that cloud is Alif. I mean, the other teammate at Team Flash. We were constantly saying in the first half of the championship that, you know, he hasn't really gone in the groove of the iRacing platform, and he was, dare I say, living in the shadow of his teammate who took a very strong and early commanding lead in the championship. But Alif really is coming into his own. I mean, he's still getting beaten by his teammate, but I mean, round 6, he won fair and square. And even tonight, he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think he just got unlucky tonight. You know, when he went across the escape road, I think Aaron Lim took him out, and then he went upside down when he hit the bumper. So he lost a lot of points today through no fault of his own, from what we can see, obviously. He's a professional. You know, out of all the drivers out on the grid, he's probably the most professional out of all of them. You know, really puts in the work. He's very methodical. And that's why he's getting the most out of a poor start to the season.
Well, as we mentioned, a lot of curveballs being thrown their way, and nonetheless, it's Team Flash up in front. But let's go ahead and talk to some of the other drivers that had an appearance up at the front in race 2, namely Josh Thomas, who finished in second. Josh, an incredibly difficult race all around in both race 1 and race 2. Walk us through your evening.
Tonight was just a bit of kind of damage survival. Just try and keep it in a straight line and let the rest do the work. And I discussed with Miko and just said if we keep our cars straight and not upside down or in the fence, the results will look after itself. And yeah, in the end, I don't think I was actually that slow, but I started, you know, getting the jitters a little bit when I was in front. I haven't led this series, so I wasn't as quick as Ibrahim. I reckon I had Nakib's number, but
tell us about how hard it is to kind of keep the car on the black stuff. We saw you snaking around through the chicanes, trying to keep up right behind Ibrahim, and ultimately, you know, maybe getting on the sausage curb a little bit too much and kind of, you know, affecting that traction out of the corner. How hard has this car been to drive?
I found this car personally a little easier than the Dallara Formula car from beforehand because I'm an Aussie. I do a lot of V8 supercar driving, and this car moves around quite a bit, similar to a supercar. It's just this has got a lot more power and a lot less weight, but they're kind of similar in the braking zones with the blipping and that type of thing. So I actually liked it. It was good fun.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Josh. Good seeing you in the Lotus 49, and we look forward to seeing you in Silverstone in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
All right, up next, I think we have to talk to Josh Perwin. He was our championship leader at the start of the evening, and he's just fallen down the order. Let's try and find out what happened there. Josh, nightmare weekend, I think it's safe to say. Walk us through how your races have gone, particularly that race 2.
So race 1, qualifying was tough because I lost force feedback about 10 minutes before qualifying, so felt like driving essentially a brand new car. Race 1 was going okay, and then one of the Eurasia cars, I think Inigo, made a bit of a bad choice. We were trying to, catch up to the leaders, and then he was starting to battle us in the oval. And then I had to go wide, and then Ricardo, I believe, just hit the wall, straight lined into my car, so that was nice. And then race 2 had a decent start, and then Garrido turned across my car down the straight, so really nice again from the Eurasia cars, and yeah, that was my weekend.
Tough day, tough day. Well, you still got one more round, double points, still everything to play for, so you just turn your attention to Silverstone.
Yeah, I got saved a bit, I think, I had the highest drop round out of everyone, so, well, not anymore, but I had the highest drop round before this, so I was kind of saved, but yeah, I think, yeah, today was just really disappointing.
Well. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we've got time for one more interview. Let's go ahead and talk to, let's talk to Alif Hamilton after this. Let's go in and let's take a look at the highlights first.
Yep. Here we go, race 2. And of course, straight away, there we got the Josh and Garrido crash. I'm not sure it was Garrido's fault though, I think Josh actually went into him and caused that accident. I'll have to have another look at that later. And then of course, this first lap shenanigans, the touch there with Ibrahim and Nakib, allowing Aaron Lim and Dominic through. But in the end, Nakib would get back into second, and he would break the toe to the rest. And it was only him that could catch up to Josh Thomas. Sorry, not Perwin. Did a good job to finally overtake Thomas. They would then go to the pits together. And then we saw this, Nakib Aslan on the last corner of the lap of the race, just holding off Thomas for P2. Thomas finished 3, Nakib would be second, but the winner for race 2, Mohamed Ibrahim.
All right, and these are the results from round 7. In race 2, it was Mohamed Ibrahim who came out on top. Didn't snag the fastest lap though. That went to Luke Bannister all the way down in P10. It was Nakib Aslan in P2, Josh Thomas in P3, Alif in P4, and Miko Nasi in P5. Next, we have our overall results from round 7. And we can see the combination there from qualifying, race 1 and race 2 put together. And ultimately, it was Nakib Aslan coming out as the round 7 winner. I believe this is the first round that he's won this season. Second round, sorry. And he's going to be very, very happy with that. Mohamed Ibrahim also going to be very happy because he needs those points to come out on top. But a driver that isn't going to be happy is Josh Thomas in P4. All right, we've got time for one more interview. Let's go and talk to our driver that finished in 4th in race 2. That was Mohamed Alif. Alif, pretty good evening. Walk us through of what I can imagine is a very tough and slippery race.
slipstream was mega. I mean, these cars don't have a wing, but you are gaining like to a 15 k's down straights, which is which made the racing even better.
Well, I mean, and again, obviously with Team Flash, first and second in the championship right now. I think we'll have a look at the championship points in a second. I think you're over 30 points behind your teammate in the championship. But with double points at Silverstone, everything to play for still.
Yep. it's very exciting to think about it. It's 2 weeks, so I've got a lot of time, you know, with my national service and everything to squeeze a lot of practice in. And I hope that, I mean, this is racing, you know, anything can happen. I can literally just drop out of top 3 or I could win. So let's just hope that I put in the good hard work, and you know, let's see what happens in Silverstone.
Awesome. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
You know, I'm interested to see how much they work together going into the last round. I mean, we saw just after the last break, Alif saying, you know, we work together as a team maybe on the track, and you were saying they've had moments where they work together, but they don't help each other on setup. Alif was kind of taken aback as to how little they've worked together, and he's in the running for the championship.
So that's a good question. I think because Team Flash have such a lead in the team championship, I got a feeling the two of them are going to go at it hammer and tongs. And who knows, we might have a cross-center situation as the both of them battle hard for the championship.
Yep, and that could mean that Josh Perwin still comes out on top. You never know. That is the beauty of the E1 Championship. That's the beauty of the double points that we always have going into the last round that will be held in 2 weeks. Don't forget, we're not live next week. We're live a week after that. So November 3rd, mark the date. We're going to be racing in Silverstone. Why did you choose this track for the grand finale? I mean, we've had some pretty crazy circuits to end the season.
Well, for me, Silverstone's like Spa. You always kind of need those two races in it because it's very hard to get that right mixture of exciting to drive, thrilling to watch the drivers grapple with that circuit, and good for racing. Silverstone, like Spa, you kind of have those two combinations together very well. So that's why we're at Silverstone. Should be thrilling to watch.
All right, well, to learn a little bit more about Silverstone, let's throw it to Amanda to walk us through this track.
Next week, we will be taking a 1-week break while teams and drivers get ready for the final round. We'll be back for the grand finale on the 3rd of November in the historic Silverstone Circuit, UK. Now, the circuit was built on the site of RAF Silverstone, a World War II Royal Air Force bomber station. It is also home to the first ever World Championship Grand Prix in 1950, when the first British Grand Prix was held. Now, having been here in Season 0, we saw a battle between Naqib Aslan and Kalen Chin for pole position. Will they be able to see themselves secure top 3 once again? Anything could happen as double points will be awarded. We might even see a shift in top 5 positions as teams try different tactics. Now, which team and driver will be crowned the champion of E1 Season 2? Join us for the final race on the 3rd of November, 9 p.m. on EGG.
Thank you, Amanda. Don't forget, everybody, to mark the date, 3rd of November, 9 p.m. on the EGG network. We have double points, and it will have a huge effect on the championship standings. And the championship standings is something I want to take a look at right now, because we're going to see what happens before and after drivers drop 1 round's worth of points. Let's go and take a look. All right, so this is the championship standings before dropped points. And you can see they're highlighted in red is the lowest performing round for each of the drivers. So this is the round that each driver is going to remove from their championship performance. So we've got Ibrahim up in first, Josh Perwin in second, and Alif rounding out the top 3. And they're all well within 15 points of each other. And with double points in Silverstone, it means that those 3 drivers are definitely in the running for the championship win.
So there they go. The highlighted points are the ones they drop. And now we see the scores after the drop points are taken into consideration. And there we go. Mohamed Ibrahim still in front, and he actually pulls out a small gap. So there we go. 12 points in front of Josh Perwin in second. 30 points in front of Muhammad Alif in third. Those are the 3. I think those 3. Okay, Naqib Aslan's closed the gap at P4. He's had a good round. but realistically, it's the top 3 going for the championship in round 8.
So how many points theoretically are available to the drivers with double points, assuming they have a clean sweep?
50, 60,
120.
120.
My maths isn't great.
128 points.
So 128, including the fastest lap, means that even Nakib Aslan in 4th place technically is in the running for the championship win. And, you know, just looking at how the last races have gone in the last 2 seasons of the E1 Championship, all you need is a theoretical chance of winning to actually win.
That is true.
All right, so we'll have our team's championship standings coming to you very soon. The crew is just working very hard and calculating all of those points with the drop round.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot how many points, double points it means. So 128 points on offer for round 8 means technically the guy in 9th can still win the championship. Anyone in the top 9 can win the championship, mathematically. But I think realistic, you're right. Nakib's in the fight, isn't he? So I think the top 4 realistic. The champion is going to come from one of the drivers in the top 4.
All right, well, let's take a look at the team's championship standings before the drop points, and then we'll take a look at after.
No drop points in the team standings.
My bad.
So, there we go. Daniel.
It's Team Flash still up at the front. Well, looks like our predictions have all come true. They are, dare I say, walking away with the championship with 1 round to go. BlackArts Racing with their strongest performance in E1 history in P2. They're definitely going to have to work very hard to claw that gap to P1, but a podium finish is definitely in reach for them by 2 weeks' time. Safehouse in 3rd, Stratos Motorsports in 4th, and BlackWolf Racing rounding out the top 5. So Silverstone, we've had crazy tracks in the past, and whenever I say crazy, I'm of course referring to Bathurst, where just simply finishing the race is a feat on its own. But Silverstone is a track with great overtaking. Do you reckon there's going to be a lot of carnage?
Yeah, it is. But unlike the Slipstream Fest we've had over the last couple of rounds, qualifying is going to be important. So the boys need to really try. I mean, Ibrahim's been the best in qualifying this year by quite a long way. So if he can replicate that, I think he'll have one hand on the trophy.
All right, well, it's only 2 weeks away until we crown our Season 2 E1 champion at Silverstone, November 3rd. Don't forget to mark the date. If you can't catch our live stream on the EGG network, don't forget to follow us on Facebook as well on the E1 Championship, where we have our live stream. There is so much action coming your way. The championship fight is still wide open. The top 9 in with a theoretical chance of winning the championship. I can't wait. But that's all we have for you guys tonight. Thank you to our sponsors, to our crew. Thank you to Alex here in the studio and Ammo in the commentary box. We shall see you in 2 weeks on November 3rd. Yep. Tip our hat to you.
Tip your hat.
Have a good evening, and we'll see you soon.